Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Drift Masters. My name is Jonathan Tiny Jarboe, and I am here at Pikernicki at Riga, Latvia, with my co-commentator, my partner in crime, Craig. Craig, how are you doing today at this amazing event? Craig?
I'm ready. I'm here. I apologize there, but I'm here with you, dude, and I am super excited. We're back here at Riga. It's Riga, baby, and it's time for some exciting battles here in the virtual world.
Yeah, man, Craig, we missed you last round, but happy to have you here for this round as well. This track is insane. It's a balance of speed and finesse on this track, and even in real world and compared to sim world, what are you going to see as differences as a driver here? What's the obstacles they're going to have at this course?
I mean, really, it comes down to that commitment here at Riga. It's super fast course. That initiation, getting that right. These zones are pretty small here as well, especially that outside zone 1. And again, that commitment, just full throttle all the way through this course. And as a chase driver, really trusting that car in front of you to be doing the right things that the judges are asking for them to do throughout this course today.
Yeah, and you're seeing the grand prize for every round is 1,500 euros first, second place is 1,000 euros, third place is 500 euros, and then the grand prize for the total season, first gets 3,000 euros, second gets 2,000, and then third gets 1,000. This is a special grand prize at the end, Craig. Okay, explain the grand prize, because these guys are going to be so amped for this.
The grand prize, they're going to Poland, dude. And to the very final round of the real Drift Masters event there in Poland. Super exciting. I want to go myself. I got to figure out a way to go.
Yeah, we definitely got to figure out a way to go. I would love to go to Poland. The energy is electric there. It's insane compared to what we see. We're across the pond from them. So what we see at normal like Formula Drift events compared to Drift Masters, Drift Masters has a crazy electric atmosphere there. Right there, you'll see that they did qualies yesterday and the day before. These guys do like a unstreamed qualifying so they could get these guys out here. And Craig, give us a rundown on this layout.
Yeah, here it goes. A super long run up to the course, and there it is, that big initiation into that long outside zone 1, transition across the track for outside zone 2, and then down into inside clip number 1 or 3, outside zone 4, transitioning using that whole entire course. Nicely done there into outside zone 5. Here we go into outside zone 6, along that wall ride, staying close, nice and tucked in across that finish line, finishing out again. Just a super exciting run, and we'll get to see tandems.
Yeah, tandems today, baby. And you have the top 32 bracket here. After the top 32, we'll have like a 10-minute break. But these guys have been pretty much filtered out of 130 sim drivers. This is our G2A MetaPro top 32 bracket system here. You're going to see these guys come out here, throw out some hands. We even got some actual Drift Masters drivers competing today. You'll see Korplinski is out there just ripping. And we're about to catch you guys with this commercial. All right, here we are. We're at our grid. This is our first group. So in sim driving and sim competition, you're going to have these guys load up to the server and get ready. The judges will articulate if it was actually a server side issue, if there's some technical difficulties there. But we got these guys out here lined up, unique liveries, some of them actual liveries, and it's insane to see these guys compete. We have our 2 drivers coming out here. You talked to me about this one driver that used to compete in VDC, and now he came into the Drift Masters arena to just try to shred out and see how he compares in the other competition. So we have Adriel, Machado in the chase, Joachim in the lead. Craig, what are you thinking about these guys coming up here?
Just watching a little bit of practice here a second ago, Adriel was ripping, but they're off for the first run of the day.
Yeah, here he goes. Adriel Machado coming in the chase, trying to get that proximity in that first zone. He's doing a good job on trying to keep that momentum, violence, and speed all the way through that first inner clip. Outer zone 2 and 3 is good from these drivers, but now there's a little bit of a checkup, and Joachim nails the wall. Now the judges are going to look who's at fault on this transition to that final outer zone. What did you notice?
That is a tough one. Now we see Adriel coming really close here, right along that bumper. A ton of angle out front, filling that outside zone nicely. Good transition across, but I think going a little bit too deep up onto the curb. We see him almost further than 90 degrees. I think it might come down to that lead driver there. We'll have to wait and see from our judges, though, as we flip them around and send them for the second half of their battle.
Now we're going to have Joachim in the chase and Adriel Machado in that 890 Supra in the lead. We'll see how this RX-7 holds up. Maybe he's at a disadvantage. Maybe he's at an advantage. We don't know yet, but we're going to see the lights go green. Adriel Machado from Brazil. I know there's a bunch of people in the chat getting hyped up for their countryman, coming in with that nice initiation into that first outer zone, keeping a midline in that first outer zone, but then transitioning beautifully into that inner clip. And then he is filling out each outer zone as much as possible. A little bit of use of that rumble strip, but he's able to hold it together and get right onto the wall all the way around with that 890 Supra. Craig, that was feisty.
Absolutely. As we take another look here on this replay, filling that first outside zone nicely and just foot to the floor out front in that 890 Supra. Good transition across from Adriel there, filling that zone. He does grab a little bit of that rumble strip, but keeps things going, rubbing along that wall as he crosses the finish line. There they are, door to door, but it's going to come down to that contact in the first half of their battle.
Yeah, it definitely is. I love seeing this kind of competition right off the rip. Feisty. You got Joachim on the left, Machado in the right, and it looks like a unanimous decision for Machado getting on to move to the top 16.
Yeah, nicely done from Adriel there. Absolutely. Good lead out front. Stayed patient in that chase position. Let the lead make their mistake out front, and he'll move on into the top 16.
Yeah, I've seen the Brazilian flags in chat, and guys in chat, we do interact with chat. I have it up on, and I see you guys talking. I see you guys getting excited. Excuse me. Now we have our next drivers coming up. You have Wojciech. We last round we were having fun with his name. Wojciech in the lead. Luis Trevino in the chase. Let's see how they perform out here. Wojciech coming out here from Poland. Coming in with that BMW, nice initiation into that first outer zone. Using some left foot braking to stabilize his car into that first outer zone. But then it looks like Luis Trevino struggled to keep that angle and speed going into outer zone 2. But now he's keeping that nice mirror of angle all the way through. Here comes that first out, or the final outer wall, going all the way around. And Wojciech is just straight slaying that final outer wall.
All right, Wojciech out front. Very nicely done lead. But a solid chase from Luis in that RX-7 as they throw it into the first turn. Nice proximity there. Drops back for the transition. Now misses out on that zone and sacrifices a little bit of angle in that chase position, but gets right back up there into the fight with that BMW out front. Nicely done on the last and final transition. Filling that last and final outside zone. There they go across that finish line, door to door, and we'll flip them around for the second half.
These guys always, if you look at drifting and this being a fan for drifting for so long, you could see the actual like style and the articulation of the car that they put through each zone. And I love seeing that with any driver out here, whether it be a rotary driver or even a BMW driver. But now we have them flipped over, and Luis Trevino is now in the lead. Let's see if he puts out a baller of a lead run so he could have Wojciech coming into the chase. Wojciech just diving right into the pocket, giving him some proximity for this transition, and then he goes right back into the door of Luis Trevino. But Luis Trevino is doing a fantastic job being smooth and steady all the way through. Use some left foot braking to fill out that zone. A real big snap into that final outer zone and slight correction going all the way through that final outer wall.
Yeah, solid second half of that battle between these two. Wojciech giving chase this time, chasing down Luis Trevino out front, big angle, throwing it in to that first turn, filling that first outside zone, getting a little bit ahead there, but missing outside, or excuse me, that first inside clip. Great transition across, filling that next outside zone, taking a little bit of curb in that chase position, but right back into the fight. Maybe a little nudge there as well. They keep things going across that finish line. We go to our judges.
Judges are coming up with this decision all the way here. We have 3 judges, one from a virtual drift VDC. We also have a DCGP judge as well as a Drift Masters judge out here. Being a part of this competition is awesome to see sim go and combined with live. Now we have Wojciech getting the win. That BMW was straight shredded in the lead and chase. Now we're going to have our next battle. It's Alan Hynes coming up here versus Paul Korplinski. Oh boy.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild one. Alan driving in real life himself, being a DMAC wildcard a couple of times, and then driving in a few series in Ireland. He drives here on the sim, a multiple sim champion in multiple series as well. And then Pavel Korplinski, we already know, I mean, just super heavy hitter, and they're about to go here for their battle.
Yeah, you got Alan Hynes, teammate for Reese Tatterson, but Alan Hynes is coming out here with a nice Scandinavian flick into that first outer zone. But here comes Powell, unfazed by that baller entry. But there's Powell, huge angle in the chase. Alan Hynes doing a great job being a lead driver, giving him that door so he could keep that proximity through outer zone 4 and 5 and all the way to the final outer zone, all the way through doors, baby.
Yeah, nice and clean start to this battle here in the top 32. Again, Alan Hynes out front, Pavel Korplinski giving chase, and a good dive to set things off here. Filling outside zone 1 is both of those drivers, 2 as well, grabbing that inside kill up, keeping things going. Nice proximity right there on the bumper through those transitions. Is Pavel, drops back a little bit there and then gets right back into it. Not quite filling that last and final outside zone. There he is in it now, and there they go across that finish line. We'll flip him around again for the second half of their battle.
Powell is such a cool driver to watch because he's so aggressive in everything he does, and it's just everything is meant for a purpose, especially in the chase. And you're gonna probably see this in the lead, how he just positions his cars as S-chassis. He uses this as a tool. He's in the lead. You have Alan Hynes in the chase coming in with a nice initiation, a little bit of a tappy tap on Powell's back quarter panel, but Powell's coming in transition, a little bit rocky going to outer zone 2, and now he's filling out outer zone 3 all the way through. Huge angle going to this final outer zone. It looks like there was a little bit of a struggle, maybe another contact, but Alan Hynes is putting on the pressure. That Irishman coming out here to throw down.
Yeah, nicely done. And you're right, we did maybe have a little bit of contact here in the first turn. Let's take another look at it here. Pavel out front. Yeah, a little hit there, extra angle. And then we see Pavel pull out of it, almost reinitiate there in outside zone 2. They keep things going, however. Nicely done using all of that track from Pavel Korplinski out front, picking up throttle, getting it into that last and final outside zone. Alan almost pushing him across that finish line. And we'll go to our judges once more in the top 32.
Man, Powell is such a class act. And if you guys haven't noticed, on the bottom of the screen, you'll see the Drift Masters socials. Please give them a follow. Check them out. We also have a bunch of cool things going on the Virtual Drift Masters Instagram as well. We post up some videos, some highlights, If you guys want the content that we have here, like the maps, the tracks, the whole car packs, you go to vdm.gp and you can download them right now. Judges are deliberating on their decision to figure out who is moving on and who is hacking it up in the trailer. Man,
that's a tough one to call. Or will we have it one more time, maybe?
Yeah, it's figuring out who's at fault on that initiation, that contact. That's what the judges are going to be looking at. And if you've never watched drifting before, guys, and it's the first time you watching, even on the sim, we try to be synonymous with the real world. So a lot of the contact that's being made, the real world judges would actually look at it and see who is at fault. With you, actually, Craig, you're actually a spotter for a real world team. What is something that you analyze as a spotter? Because I'm pretty sure some of these virtual guys have spotters.
Well, I mean, it also comes down to what is being said in the driver's meeting and that line map that you're given, right? That momentum map over here in the States, and where those decel zones are, when drivers should be picking up throttle, especially for initiation. How much angle should they have? Sometimes, judges don't want to see those drivers come in, 90 degrees or more. But it looks like we have a judge joining us here now, Chris.
Hello. I'll just wait for the slider to appear on screen, and then I'll give you a little explanation. But I'm sure you've got some ideas as to who might get the win.
Yeah, we're having it slide into the left for Alan Hynes, slide to the right for Paolo Korplinski, and it looks like Alan Hynes gets the win. Hey, Chris, you're one of the judges. Explain to us what happened.
Yeah, so for us, it comes down to on entry. Obviously, Korplinski is within just about the decel area. However, for us, it's the way in which he decelerates. So he flicks it in a little bit early, and then he gets off handbrake, goes to get on power, and then he goes back on the handbrake. So for us, that's a double deceleration, and that's not allowed, and it's hard to predict. So for us, that's what causes Alan to flick. He's done the same thing, flicks in, a little bit of handbrake, and then goes to grab throttle, at which point Korplinski then re-decelerates, and that's what causes a little bit of contact. So for us, that is a Korplinski fault. Hynes taking the win.
Well, thanks for the explanation, Chris. I'm happy to actually incorporate the judges into the explanation. I know in previous rounds we were just getting some notes, and I'm happy to have you guys come in and give us your thoughts.
Cheers.
All right, here we go. We're going to our next battle. Steven Jarboe in the lead, representing the AOM members. If you're not familiar with them in the sim community, they're pretty rowdy guys. They're really good drivers. And you have Peter coming in here in the chase with that S chassis. And here he comes. Steven Jarboe coming in with a nice initiation to that first outer zone. But Peter is falling behind a little bit of a tire drop on outer zone 1. But here's Steven Jarboe. Use some left foot braking to stabilize his car into outer zone 2. And then outer zone 3, fantastic transitions. And then now trying to tuck that tail end all the way into that final outer zone. But Peter is now throwing blows like he's Mike Tyson. Heavy hitter out here.
Yeah, making a little bit of contact there in that last and final outside zone. Let's take another look at it here from the drone, and what a magnificent first outside zone one from Steven Jarboe. Nice transition there to pick up that inside clip, the next outside zone as well. But look at there, right on the bumper through those transitions, drops back once more, gets right back into the fight, and almost throwing it away there, making a little bit of contact before crossing that finish line.
Yeah, Peter Pelinkovic was doing a great job just staying in active chase and keeping that proximity and just trying to ruffle up some feathers of Steven Jarboe. But Steven Jarboe is a driver that loves to get right on the door and apply that pressure. Let's see if he does that here at Riga. And you have Peter coming out here in the lead with that S15 coming in with a nice Scandinavian flick into that first out of zone. Looks like he shallowed up Pelinko a little bit, but able to hold it. Going to outer zone 2, beautiful transition from both of these drivers. Peter is just slaying that track. Now Steven Jarboe loses some proximity so he can give him some room for that transition. And Peter is rubbing up against that wall, but then goes a little bit away from it. But Steven Jarboe is out there just shadowing Peter.
Wow, a tough battle here. Once more, again, in a top 32. Peter out front. Great initiation. Does pull out of the angle just a little bit, but he does fill that outside zone all the way around. Grabbing that next one, the inside clip as well. Steven Jarboe right there on the bumper through that super important transition. That one as well, the last and final one. Picking up throttle on time is that lead driver all the way out to that wall, across that finish line. Tough battle to call for the judges today.
Peter Pelinkovic was so snappy on his transitions. It was beautiful to watch. And just Steven Jarboe, I want to say both of these drivers in chase and lead, they were amazing to kind of predict for their lead laps. But Pelinkovic was just being super aggressive on snapping to angle each time he had to.
Yeah, absolutely, and just super committed all the way throughout that run. Steven was as well, especially that first outside zone in his lead, just filling it all the way and locked into that angle where we saw Peter make a little waver there, initiating in maybe with a little bit too much angle than what he needed, and having to pull out of it and keep that car going throughout that first outside zone. But again, the rest of it was just super dialed in. Steven extremely smooth in the chase position, maybe a little bit smoother than Peter, while Peter had maybe a little bit better proximity, even though maybe not as smooth with making those contacts here and there.
Yeah, and I love seeing this go back and forth, and these judges having to take some time. Usually, a lot of times, it's clear choices and clear decisions from some of these judges. But top 32 battles, especially in virtual drift masters, have proven to be, they really gotta go into the fine details of each run.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, and you have to hold these drivers to the highest of highest standards and expect perfection each and every time. But here we go. We have a decision.
All right, slide him to the left for Steven Jarboe. Slide him to the right for Peter Pelinkovic. And it goes to Steven Jarboe. Gets the win. Moves on to the top 16. Great run from both of these drivers. Hell of a performance out here. Now we're having our next battle. Getting ready. It's going to be David Kaczmarks versus Darius Ostreika. And you are very familiar with Darius.
Yeah, absolutely. Darius, just a super heavy hitter here in the virtual space. In everything that he does, too. No matter the series, he is going to be somewhere in the top.
Yep. And it's crazy because in the general standing, I believe he's in second place compared to his teammate, Jaku, who's pretty much running away with the competition so far in the whole virtual drift masters. It's insane. But here we go. David in the lead. Darius Ostreika in the chase. David coming in with a nice initiation, smooth initiation, but Darius reads it and stays right in the pocket, gives him some room, slows himself down, and dives right back in with that proximity with David Kaczmarks, going all the way into that outer zone right before that wall ride. Huge snap from David, and here's Darius using some left foot braking, holding that proximity all the way through with that A90 Supra.
And this is why we have to hold these drivers to such a high standard. As we take another look at it here from the drone, what an initiation from both of the drivers, just filling that outside zone all the way through it. A great transition across as well, filling that next outside zone. Nicely done once more, just giving that bumper a little kiss on that rumble strip and on the wall as well. But look at there, Darius in that chase position, tucked up right in that pocket. We'll flip him around for the second half of their battle.
All right, here's David. He's going to be in the chase now. Let's see how he performs out here. And Darius is in the lead with the A90 Supra. David looks like he's giving him some room on that initiation. Here comes Darius going in and filling out that first out of zone, but David is keeping that proximity, bumper to bumper, scraping all the way through. Beautiful proximity on that inner clip. Darius is being as smooth and consistent. Use some left foot braking to tuck his tail in there. And David is going in right into the pocket, right off the rip. on that final outer wall, rubbing his tire on the door.
Yeah, what a dive from David in that chase position. We'll take, once again, another look here. Darius out front. He's going to initiate in that 890 Supra, filling outside zone 1. Nicely done. Great transition across, filling that outside zone. The inside clip, the next outside zone, and right there on the bumper, David in that chase position once more for the last and final one. And then right there along the door of Darius out front. And they go across that finish line. Man, what a battle here. And again, the top 32.
These guys are going to be having me... I don't even need Red Bull anymore because of the energy these guys give me every time they compete. It's insane. But I love seeing how they perform out here and being smooth and consistent with every battle, every lap that they do. I was explaining earlier, you have Darius. He is in second place for the season standings. And you have Ernestus Jaku in the lead in the first place. He's almost running away with it. But we still have a couple more rounds for this whole competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you pointed out, these drivers just coming out swinging today. Again, the top 32, this is what, the 5th battle in so far? and yeah, judges are having to take their time again once more with this decision between these two. Such a close battle. We could maybe see them go once more, but we might have a decision here in the top 32. A next battle coming up is another exciting one as well. Ernestus and Alexander Element, heater of a battle.
Yeah, Ernestus Jaku. That dude is absolute shredder. He is actually he actually drifted a real car just recently. I think it was like last weekend or the weekend before. I follow these guys on social media. Love seeing what they do from sim to going real world. You have in the previous seasons, and you had Reese Tatterson getting the opportunity to drive a real car, a real drift car. Is really awesome, and especially when you're seeing with different sim worlds, how they transition from sim to real world is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quick to pick things up, but looks like we have a decision here.
Slide him left for David. Slide him right for Darius. And it looks like Darius gets the win. I think the middle judge wanted it one more time. But beautiful performance from both of these drivers. And I am just astonished by the top 32 battle so far. We're going to look at our next drivers coming out here. Got Ernestus Jaku versus Alexander Element. These guys are just straight monsters out here on the sim community. There we go. We got them at the line. Ernestus is in the A90 Supra, similar livery as Darius Ostreika, but the only difference is you see Jaku in the spoiler. Here is Alexander Element coming in with a nice initiation in the chase and holding that proximity, using that left foot brake to keep it there. But oh man, Ernestus' inner clip proximity to that cone was insane. And now he is snapping and locking into each and every outer zone all the way through to the final outer wall. But here is Alexander Element just getting toe to toe with our current points leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Ernestus looking just dialed in here as we take another look from the drone, just throwing it in, locked into the angle immediately and filling these outside zones, grabbing that inside clip as you pointed out. But the chase right there along the bumper, taking advantage of this really good lead out front from Ernestus. Element locked into that door and that pocket as they continue on this last and final outside zone, finishing out the first half of their battle.
Will Alexander knock out our top points leader in a top 32 battle and shake up the point standing? We'll see after this battle. Alexander Element is in the lead. Ernestus Jaku in the chase. Let's see how he comes out here, gets toe-to-toe, door-to-door with Alexander Element. Alexander Element comes in with a snappy initiation to the first outer zone. Beautiful transitions to second outer zone and dives into that inner clip. Outer zone 3 is filled out all the way. Here's outer zone 4 and 5. Oh, buttery smooth transition. Wall ride into the final outer zone from Alexander Element. But Jaku is throwing some haymakers.
Yeah, reeled him in quick there in that last and final outside zone. Let's take another look here. Element throwing that car in, filling outside zone 1, nicely pulls out of the angle just a little bit. Nicely done on that transition, but goes a little bit wide of that inside clip. Nicely done on the bumper transitions from Ernestas in that chase, and here it is, reeling him in quickly and staying with him, giving him a little nudge before crossing that finish line. We'll go to our judges once more here in the top 32 in this tough to call battle.
Man, that was insane. Jaku out here, just straight right to both of these drivers. Alexander Element, I love this initiation. He was snapped right into angle, really buttery smooth, clean line. But Jaku was just on it throughout both laps. Let's see, slide him right for Alexander, slide him left for Jaku, and Jaku is moving on to the top 16. Crazy battle from both drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, and that lead from Ernestas out front was absolutely insane. Super dialed in.
Yeah, man. Jaku has been on a tear throughout this whole VDM competition. It's awesome to see. He's such a very warm person to talk to, even if it's through social media. He's such a great character to be around. But now we have Vitaly Isaev in the lead and Nick Hang in the chase. I made a lot of puns last round. Let's see if he'll hang it all out there in this first outer zone with Vitaly. Vitaly does a great job snapping and going all the way to that first outer zone, filling out that outer wall. But Nick Hang is literally hanging on to the door, but hangs on too much, making a bump in transition as Vitaly Isaev is coming out here to the final outer zone and filling it all the way out as Nick Hang is fighting through.
Yeah, I think you're right there. We had a little bit of contact there in that transition in the middle of the course. We'll take another look at it from the drone. I think we'll be able to see it clear here as they move along through the course, filling these outside zones. Great line through that inside clip into the next outside zone. And there it is, that little bit of contact, almost stopping that lead car from transitioning, but he gets it done anyway and then plants it along the wall, keeping things going, crossing that finish line.
I love seeing drivers, even if they drift through the contact and they don't just like, oh, let me just spin my wheels so I could go off track. Like drive through the contact, get rowdy, get ambitious with each run. But we'll see how the tables will be turned here. We got Nick Hang now in the lead and Vitaly Isaev in the chase. Whether his spotter is telling him, hey, be a little conservative, you're in that advantage. We will see how he performs out here in the chase. Second lap of this battle, Vitaly Isaev coming in here with that 180SX purple and black livery, coming in with a nice initiation all the way through, but he's hanging it a little bit too out there. Looks like there was a possible tire drop on outer zone 1, but now he is coming in, reeling in his line all the way through outer zone 2, outer zone 3 with some left foot braking, and all the way out there with outer zone 4 and 5. Just hucking it everywhere he can, but Vitaly Isaev is just right there, just on his door.
Yeah, absolutely, applying that pressure everywhere throughout this course. We'll take another look here with Nick Hang out front. Great initiation, but maybe going a little bit too far there. Had a little bit better look at it in that other camera position, but continuing on a nice line here throughout the remainder of the course. And then there it is, Vitaly reeling him in for this last and final outside zone, staying right there with him, crossing the finish line. And we'll go to our judges.
I'm reading the chat every once in a while, looking over. Everybody's asking what game this is. It's a Assetto Corsa, but there was a funny remark. Someone said it was Need for Speed Most Wanted, but we got slide him left of Vitaly, slide him right for Nick Hang. And we are looking what the judges will say. Vitaly Isaev gets a unanimous decision and moves on to the top 16. And I am seeing the other chat that says it took me 2 minutes to realize this was not real.
It's come a long way with the recent mods and stuff with Pure and CSP Content Manager. Really, none of this could happen without it.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because I just recently updated my Assetto, and everybody's like, you're not on Pure? I'm like, no. And it's just a different change of worlds right here. Now we have Steven Hatcher in the lead and a Drift Masters driver, Adam Zalewski, in the chase. You guys are probably familiar with that 86 livery right there. That's one of my favorite liveries out of all these virtual drivers. It's insane to see. I'm excited to see how he performs out here in the chase against Steven Hatcher. It looked like they were practicing earlier. Might have been a little bit of struggles with the chase, but here he is, Steven Hatcher. See if he could chop down Adam in the lead. Nice initiation, big Scandinavian flick to that first outer zone, but a bobble in outer zone 1. But here comes Adam, keeping that proximity, keeping his calm, cool, and collective as Steven Hatcher is chopping along throughout the whole track. Maybe a little contact on that transition all the way into this final outer zone, pulling it all the way out. And Adam is doing a fantastic job using throttle modulation to keep that proximity.
Yeah, nice start to this, once again, top 32 battle between these two. Steven Hatcher out front, Adam Zalewski giving chase. And look at the angle from Steven Hatcher out front and outside zone 1 and locked into it early, didn't waver off of it. Nice transition, grabbing that inside clip, continuing on here. Adam now applying better aggression there, trying to make the dive, sacrificing quite a bit of line there for that last and final outside zone, but finally gets in there. They cross the finish line. We'll flip them around for the second half of their battle.
Yeah, you also saw the earlier, last weekend or the weekend before about the video on Virtual Drift Masters. Adam was explaining what's the main difference on sim and real world, why he doesn't use it as a tool. And one of the biggest differences is actually the feel, the G-forces that they feel when they're going around the turns. But here we go. We got Adam out here using this as a tool to prepare him for the next round of Drift Masters. Adam Zalewski coming in with a nice Scandinavian flick, but it looks like he turned into a lawnmower and went right into the wall. Unfortunate, super aggressive initiation as Steven Hatcher is going to fill out each zone. He doesn't need to do this. Looks like a big mistake from Adam as Steven Hatcher is going all the way around to the final outer zone and using that brake to kind of keep himself in there. Unfortunate from Adam.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see there from Adam out front. We'll take another look at it. He just goes a little bit too deep there. Yeah, backing that car up, and as soon as he got a piece of that grass, he was gone and off the course. Steven continues on, finishing out the run, giving the wall quite the tap there as well. Luckily, the battle was over at that point, almost finishing the run there for Steven Hatcher. Yeah, as he continues on and finishing out. Yeah.
It's unfortunate seeing Adam do that kind of mistake, but we're going to see the judges come out left for Steven, right for Adam. And it's going unanimous. Steven Hatcher gets the win. That was a huge mistake from Adam. Unfortunate. It shows in chat, I think he was having a wheel issue on his sim rig, and that's what caused him to kind of go off track. Man, oh man, this bracket has been crazy. That was the left side of the bracket. We have everything lined up so far. What are you thinking about the battles going into the top 16 on the left side of the bracket, Craig, man?
Yeah, I mean, that was already some exciting stuff we saw there in the top 32, but we see Adriel Machado move on. And again, you know, looking at a little bit of practice, Adriel was looking good, shredding in practice and getting the win there in that top 32. Steven Jarboe also moving on. Alan Hynes, Darius, Ostreika, and Ernestes, they'll have to battle each other, teammates going up against each other in that top 16. That's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, Jaku versus Darius Ostreika, battle of first and second place on the season standings is actually going to be exciting to watch. Alan Hynes and Steven Jarboe, seeing them compete against each other, they're absolute shredders out there. On the right side of the bracket, we have a young buck that's going to be coming out here, Nico Stella. What are you thinking about his performance throughout this whole competition?
Yeah, Nico has turned into a super heavy hitter as well, doing good in other series throughout the virtual world. You know, super exciting and dialed in. He's super precise and knows little tricks. He has things up his sleeve, and he's, you know, exciting to watch.
It's kind of, at times it feels like we're both older in age, and we love that Halo, playing Halo, and then all of a sudden you play Halo again and you got young kids just completely obliterating us. so
Yeah.
so you got these young kids actually using the sim to kind of practice to get themselves in there. There's multiple different other drivers that are doing that, and coming from sim to real world. Some pro drivers even said that there are some unique identifiers that you can see as a sim driver going into the real world. Have you noticed that in your experience in like as being a spotter in professional environment?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see it in the drivers that have picked it up recently and have really been putting in the time. Even some of the things through transitions that you see in real life that you're like, never do that. You would never go for that. But, you know, being in the sim, it lets you do things just over and over and over and over and over again, to where you can try out new things and see what works, see what doesn't work. You can even try out tunes, dial in your wheel speed before you go to some of these tracks if it's, you know, accurate enough in the sim. But yeah, it definitely shows in some of the driving out there for sure.
Yeah, and now not only we have Nico, Stella, we already harped on them a little bit. You have another VDC driver, your champion, Sullivan. He's going to be competing in this top 32 bracket as well. He's been putting out some feisty battles out there, which is exciting. But he's also versing an up-and-coming driver out there that's eventually chasing for that VDC license, Michael Veras. That's going to be maybe a David and Goliath battle in virtual Drift Masters world.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of real exciting stuff coming up here in the right-hand side of the bracket the second half.
I see someone in the chat saying, I'm about to sim on Sebring before I throw my FRS at it. Oh, man. Sebring, track in Florida, very near and dear to my heart. Love going there. I love commentating the events over there, but these guys out here using the sim for practice. It's cheaper, one, on tires, and two, it's a good tool to keep taking laps and getting on there. But we have our first battle coming up here at Riga, on the right side of this bracket. Nico, Stella is in that 180 SX, and then you have Lucas Gomes in that BMW going to be in the chase. You'll see them in the burn box, and some people think, oh, why are they using the burn box? It's not real. Sometimes it's actually to test out their equipment, make sure everything is working right, so they don't have like a mishap that Adam had before. Also, depending on their tune, it actually matters on the data that is in the game as well. But you have Nico, Stella in the lead. It's Guko livery with that 180SX coming in with a nice initiation, but here comes Lucas being super aggressive right off the rip, keeping that proximity right in the outer zone 1, and dives forward into the pocket of Nico, Stella. Oh my goodness, Nico Stella is doing a fantastic job in the lead, being unfazed by that chase driver as Nico Stella hucks that car right into that outer wall all the way through to the end of the track.
Yeah, Nico absolutely dialed in there for that lead position, and super snappy transitions throughout the course as well. As we take another look at that initiation from Nico out front, nice and snappy. Lukasz sacrificing a bit of angle in that chase position to reel him back in for that proximity, almost making a dive that he really shouldn't have, and then once more making a much cleaner dive in that chase position. But Nico filling that zone all the way around up against that wall, and will flip him around for the second half of their battle.
It's cool to see these drivers. I was actually explaining to some other drivers that when we were talking about style before, and with the Brazilian drivers, you have that samba style. They're very, very in tune. It's more of like a rhythm and ballet. I love watching them drive. They're super fun to watch. Nico Stella is just a straight assassin. Nico the assassin Stella coming out here. And here he is in the chase. Lucas comes in with a nice initiation, but it looks like he uses too much of a flick, goes into the grass and hucks himself into the wall as Nico Stella is continuing on this lap to fill out each zone and then just give on a show to the spectators in the virtual world. Even though they're just pictures and PNGs, they are smiling in their faces.
Absolutely. And another unfortunate one to see go off the back of that first outside zone. We'll take another look at it. Yeah, just getting a little bit of that grass. It's hard to come back from. And Lucas falls off that track. Nico continues on, finishing out the run, and we'll see him move on into the top 16. Nicely done from Nico.
Yeah, Nico, he's very consistent. You can even on his qualifying scores, he got the same score twice on his qualifying score, and just that's the consistency is what gets you through, and that's kind of like a championship mentality for these drivers. If you're able to have those scores, it's fantastic. Nico Stella gets the win and moves on to the top 16. We're gonna see our next driver come out here. Adam Gron is gonna be competing against Wahlman. Adam Gron is in that BMW, and Wahlman is in that RX-7. Wahlman did a great job in Finland, just rubbing that back bumper against each wall. It was awesome. I had so much fun using his name as a pun and getting a good time. Adam Gron out here. Another real world driver coming in here with that BMW. Bang! Nice initiation, and it looks like he uses too much speed, able to save it and go into outer zone 2, but Wahlman just gives himself some room. It looks like he's trying to cut the track to get that proximity, but Adam Gron is struggling through each zone. Looks like he used too much speed on each zone and launched himself over that rumble strip. Oof, that's a struggle for him.
Yeah, it sure was. We'll take another look here. Just going a little bit too hard, too much sauce from Adam Gron. We'll take a look here, going a little bit wide, pulling out of the angle, and he does a good job to keep things going, but that's going to bother his line as he moves on down the course. We see him there a little bit late on that transition, and then going up over that rumble into the grass, dropping to a tire, maybe giving the wall a little boot there as well, correcting that angle, and there they go across that finish line.
I've never heard you say boop.
I mean, well, you know.
You get those surprise ones, man. Here we go. Wahlman in the lead. Adam Gron in the chase. Gron is at a severe disadvantage right now, but Wahlman is coming out here with that RX-7. Let's see how he performs, how he does a killer line in the lead. Coming in with a nice initiation using the clutch kick method. A little bit of a feint initiation wins that first outer zone. And Gron is just trying to keep that proximity as close as possible to Wahlman, while Wahlman is just beelining to each zone and filling it out. But that was too much proximity. And Gron just makes some contact on the transition, but Wahlman just is unfazed. And it looks like he has a magnet on that back bumper because he was riding that wall.
Yeah, a much cleaner second half to this battle as we take another look. A great angle through turn 1 in that first outside zone. Nicely done from Adam in that chase position, though. Maybe giving him a little push there through that outside zone. Sacrificing a little bit of line, and there making some contact coming into that last and final outside zone. But again, they just keep things going. Staying along that wall. We'll go to our judges here once more in the top 32.
It's very surprising to see that kind of mistakes going on from these guys. We got slide him left for Adam, slide him right for Wahlman. Looks like Wahlman gets the win. We might have a judge come in here and explain what's going on. And next battle coming up is Sullivan and Mike Veras. Have the judge come in here and explain what's going on that battle, so we could understand what was going on in the booth. All right. Hey, Chris. Chris is out here, one of the judges. What came to that decision of that previous battle?
Really simple for us. It's that on the first run, Adam Gron has an independent incomplete. So he goes 2 tires off on the first corner, and then also at clip 5, he has another sort of moment where he's off track. So for us, that makes at that point that run is essentially over. So it is then a full advantage to the chase. On the reverse of this, In the second run, yeah, there is a little bit of contact there between clips 5 and 6, but that's not enough to make it an incomplete. That is just enough to be marked down as to whoever was at fault. And then because of that, there's a full advantage from the first run. Therefore, there's nothing on that second run to overturn it. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for the explanation, Chris. You guys are doing a great job out there in the judges' booth. And if we do have many more questions, I am very excited to hear your accent come in here and explain everything that's going on.
Always here to talk to you.
All right, next battle. We have Sullivan versus Mike Veras. All right, Mike Veras is coming in here, also known as Blastoise in the drift community. This is that David and Goliath battle we were talking about earlier. Sullivan in the lead. That BMW. Michael Veras with the Lexus in the chase. The Dominican flag out there. Sullivan coming in here with a nice initiation. Applying some left foot braking in the beginning of that first outer zone. But here's Michael Veras trying to hold that proximity right off the rip. Sullivan is doing a great job in the lead. Doing a significant amount of angle through each zone. And Sullivan is just using some left foot braking to rub that back bumper against that wall. If this was real life, that bumper would be destroyed.
Absolutely. We'll take another look at it here. Sullivan out front using every bit of the track that he is allowed to and filling outside zone 1 nicely. And what a transition. Gets away from that chase a little bit of Michael in that chase position. And they continue on. Zach just dialed in out front in these outside zones all the way up there to that wall. Chase coming in with almost more angle and then giving a little bit of contact there coming across that finish line.
Yeah, we have Michael Veras now going to be in the lead in the AOM livery on the side, Dominican flag on the top. Just nationality we want to represent. Coming out here, that Lexus. Here comes Sullivan in the chase. Let's see if he'll apply that pressure right off the rip like Michael Veras is trying to do. Michael Veras does a fantastic job using that left foot braking to stabilize that car in that first outer zone. But here he is diving into that inner clip. Sullivan is keeping that proximity on outer zone 2 and 3. And here is this final outer zone. Huge hug. Oh no, Michael Veras made contact with the wall. And that unfortunate mistake could be crucial on the judge's decision to figure out who's at fault or if it was actually just Michael Veras going in a little too hot.
Yeah, we'll take another look at it here from the drone. We should be able to see it nice and clear. Nicely done from these drivers, though, heading up to that point. Filling these outside zones. Nicely done on the transition, getting away from Zach a little bit. But yeah, there it is, just going a little bit too deep in that wall. Coming out of angle and making contact with Zach's car and then shutting the run down. Unfortunate to see there. It's going to come down to that. Yeah, we're going to have a quick decision from these judges.
Left for Zach, right for Veras, left all the way for Sullivan, and he's moving on to the top 16. Man, Michael Veras did a fantastic job in qualifying. I'm pretty sure this is not the last time we're going to see him.
No, absolutely not. Nicely done from him up until that point. Again, just coming in just a little bit too hot, a little bit too deep, hitting that bumper along the wall, straightening out, and unfortunately shutting it down from there.
Yeah, and it looks like this is going to be a bye run. So the other driver did not make it to the grid. So Martinez, Ostreika, Martinez! One of the first drivers have ever commentated in the sim community. The brother of Darius Ostreika. I've seen these guys battle against each other. It's insane. It's literally like sibling rivalry. But here we go. We have that A90 Supra coming out here. Craig, run us through this track a little bit more, what you're seeing with this competition as Martinez is shredding.
Yeah, Ostreika initiating in nicely there. Could maybe have a little bit more angle on that first transition through the course, but again, it's not needed here for this bye run. Really just kind of using this as a little bit of practice here from Ostreika as he continues on through that course, filling that outside zone nicely, crossing that finish line. Again, nice little practice run for him, a little extra that he gets to have there.
Yeah, Martinez is just out here just having fun, especially with any battle he gets. He's very excited to be a part of like any kind of competition, and he's ready to put on a show. But we have our next battle. Oh, just check. Coming out here in the lead versus Lukasz Pasquini. Lukasz is another top dog competitor out here in a lot of sim communities and sim battles. That from what I see, Lukasz is absolutely insane. Big Duck Club sponsor livery on top of that car, that 180. Here's Wojciech in that S15. Black and yellow livery. Wojciech coming in with a nice initiation, filling out that first outer zone, coming into that outer zone 2. Nice smooth initiation and transition through each zone on this lap. Wojciech is doing a great job. And here comes Lukasz trying to hold that proximity in that final outer zone. Wojciech is doing a stellar performance out here in Riga.
Yeah, Wojciech out front. Nicely done from him. As we take another look here, Lukasz in that chase position and getting a little bit out of whack there in that first turn. It throughout that initiation, gets back into the fight though after that inside clip as they continue on. Wojciech filling that next outside zone, giving that rumble strip a little kiss there as they continue on all the way out there to that wall and across the finish line for the first half of their battle.
Wojciech is absolutely a great driver. It's cool to see the drivers that compete in this. Sometimes they don't have a livery, so they go to the default livery. It gives everybody an opportunity to know you don't have to have your own custom livery to compete here. But we have Lukasz coming in here with that 180 SX, the AOM livery, coming in, filling out the first outer zone, just hawking it in there, using some throttle modulation and left foot braking an inner clip 1 to keep himself with close proximity on the inner clip. But here's Lukasz just hucking it to that final outer wall and rubbing that back bumper. And here's Wojciech all the way through that final outer zone.
Now, what a clean battle between these two. We'll take another look here from the drone. Lukasz out front this time, initiating in, locked into that angle for turn 1, making a good transition across. Good angle there as he drives that car down to that inside clip. But right there, Wojciech in that chase position along the bumper through the transition, making another little dive here for the last and final outside zone, staying there with him in the pocket as they cross that finish line.
Man, oh man, this is the we have 2 more battles after this. Actually, 3 more battles after this. And it looks like the judges have come to a decision. They're looking on all the details. Here we go. Left for Wojciech, right for Pasquini, and it looks like Wojciech gets the win and moves on to the top 16.
Yeah, nicely done from him. Again, super clean, really from both of them. But in that chase position, just really, really clean. Took advantage of the good lead out front. And again, we see him get the win and move on to the top 16.
Now we have Artem Makushenko versus Robert Kavinsky. I think I was all right with those last names, but I know my boy Patrick is in the chat. You could give me a rundown on their names. He's been doing that throughout the whole Virtual Drift Masters. Love interacting with the chat. Here's Artem coming in the lead with that R34 versus Robert. Coming in with a nice initiation. Looks like Artem tire drops on outer zone 1, but now it looks like he tire drops again by using that rumble strip on outer zone 2. Now Robert is just keeping that proximity as much as possible without forcing any mistakes on Artem. And it was choking him up a little bit as Artem is filling out that final outer zone.
Yeah, unfortunately there, Artem really showing us how important it is to get that first outside zone right, as it affects you throughout the remainder of the course. We see him just go a little bit too far wide there, and then making that transition a little bit late. We see him go wide for the inside clip, a little bit offline here as well. Could have used a little bit more of the course, and then that throws him a little bit late on that transition as well. He does get it done and settles in nicely to the last and final outside zone, but just one mistake after another, sort of snowballing throughout that lead run from Artem.
It tends to happen a lot during any kind of drift competition. If you make one mistake in the beginning, it's a snowball effect. A lot of people, when they do practice, if they make one mistake right off initiation, they turn to reset to pit to kind of get that bad juju out of them. Here comes Robert Kavinsky coming in with a nice initiation, but it looks like he shallowed up on the angle and forced some contact from Artem as Robert is able to clean up that line a little bit as he's going to this final 2 outer zones, struggling a little bit, but able to pull it all together, keeping that nice proximity into that wall in that final outer zone.
Yeah, an interesting one for the judges to call here. We'll take another look. And Robert out front initiating in, and yeah, almost straightening out and getting maybe a little bit of help there from Artem in that chase position. They continue on a little bit inside of that inside clip. Doesn't quite fill that outside zone. We see Robert go up on that rumble strip and kind of throw him a little bit offline, and now back settled into the right line, filling that outside zone. There they go across that finish line. So just a small minor mistake stacking up on top of each other through out these guys lead runs, but it looks like we have a decision here. Maybe we'll see a quick one more time from the judges.
Maybe we'll see that. It looks like it is gonna be a one more time. It's so much easier to do one more times on the sim. They don't have to replace tires. They just go back to pit and then line back up into this competition. So we'll have them drive back to the pits and get ready for the one more time battle here.
Yeah,
So,
good call from those judges. Very, I guess you could, even mistakes again piling up, snowballing into one another, and judges want to see him just clean it up and have a good run. Of course, these drivers are certainly capable of it. They had crazy qualifying scores, had to get through 30 drivers here to make it into the top 32. So here they are back at the line, ready to go for their one more time battle.
here he is. We have our first one more time battle of this top 32 bracket. Artem is going to be in the lead versus Robert going to be in the chase. Robert Kavinsky. Artem coming out here with a nice initiation, and here comes Robert keeping that proximity right off the rip, letting him transition. Artem does a great job filling out each zone now. Going into this second to last outer zone, huge angle, uses the angle to slow himself up a little bit so he could able to throttle into that final outer wall. But man, Robert is on his door.
Yeah, a lot cleaner from Artem out front this time as we take another look here, initiating in, and I think we see Robert get a little bit out of shape there. Yeah, in that chase position, almost straightening up there as well. A little bit of a wash in the front from that chase position. Robert, and just ton of angle from Artem out front as they continue on. Nicely done for the last and final outside zone as well, along that wall. There they go, door to door across that finish line. Much cleaner first half to this one more time battle.
Now you have Robert going to be in the lead and Artem in the chase. Here we go. Our one more time battle, second lap of it. Robert's now in the lead and Artem is in the chase. Very generous flick in that first outer zone from Robert as he's transitioning. Oh, it looks like a straight in on outer zone 2 and going into outer zone 3, and Artem is just keeping his distance, being very, very conservative in the chase, which is a smart move from him as Robert is finishing up his lap in the lead.
Yeah, we'll take a close another look here at the replay from the drone. Again, Robert out front this time. Artem giving chase. Nicely done through outside zone 1. Good transition. And yeah, it takes a couple of seconds there to really get the angle in that chase position. But I think he remains a little bit cleaner as they work their way into this last and final outside zone here, filling it nicely. There they go across that finish line, door to door this time. And we go to our judges. Maybe not easier to call, but we'll
like
certainly,
Robert,
I think, have a decision. Yeah.
It looked like Robert reinitiated on outer zone 2, and I think that's where the judges are going to be looking at more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you haven't followed the socials of Drift Masters, by all means, go ahead and do it. Twitch, you got Facebook, you got X. I'm used to calling it Twitter. And then you got the YouTube. Me being an old head, but yeah, like I was saying, outer zone 2, it looked like a reinitiation. What are you thinking about that part? Was it a strain or a reinitiation? What can you explain to the viewers? What's the difference?
Yeah, I don't think it quite constituted a full reinitiation. He did definitely wash. We see those front wheels almost go into opposite, but I don't think it quite made it that far. I know the judges are probably going back on the replays right now and checking that out, and if those front wheels indeed turn opposite way, that probably make the decision a lot easier. Opposite drift, opposite lock is a huge no in drifting. That's those front wheels facing the opposite way that they're supposed to in drift. But I mean, it seemed like he stayed at least in angle just a little bit. But I do think that mistake is going to be weighed heavier than say Artem's. It's going to be tough. It's going to come down again, the judges making those decisions here, and here they go. We do have a decision.
There it is, the G2A judges board. Left for Artem, right for Robert, and it looks like a unanimous decision. Artem gets the win and moves on. Continues to the top 16. Our next battle is two drivers that I'm very familiar with, not only in Virtual Drift Masters, but in multiple different competitions. You got Linus Tornqvist, an absolute slayer of a driver, and Artie Cholov. I love his name. When I first saw it, I'm like, yep, he's artillery for me, man. Suppressing fire every time he's out there, just straight shredding. Absolute explosive driver on the sim. Here we go. Linus Tornqvist in the lead. Artie Cholov in the chase. Linus Tornqvist is in that BMW, and Artie is just being super aggressive right off the rip. Almost side-by-side initiation, getting doors right off the rip on Outer Zone 1. Here's Artie keeping that pressure all the way through Outer Zone 2 and 3 into Outer Zone 4, using some left for braking to hold that proximity. Linus Tornqvist hucks that BMW's bumper right into the wall, and Artie Cholov is getting doors.
Yeah, super exciting start to this top 32 battle between these two. Linus out front, Artem giving chase and doing a wonderful job at that. We take another look here, filling first outside zone, second as well, grabbing that inside clip. Every single one of these outside zones. Artem staying there with him though. And that last and final transition out front, Linus throwing that BMW in there to the wall. And there they go across that finish line, maybe giving the wall a little bit of tap before crossing it.
Man, Artie made me do the happy dance. You ever done the happy dance? Like you're about to go potty, like right before you go to the bathroom. Like I was stomping my feet when he was going through that whole outer zone, that final outer zone, holding that proximity. Here you go. We got Artie in the lead, and we got Linus Tornqvist in the chase. Linus actually leaves some room for Artie, and now he's trying to reel him in like a big old fish, and Artie is just slaying that line from each zone. A little bit of rumble strip use on Outer Zone 3. Outer Zone 4 is beautiful, but there's some contact on that transition to the final Outer Zone, and the judges are gonna really need to look deep into that transition.
Yeah, we'll get a better look at it from the drone here as we see the just crazy lead that Artem gets out from the gate, filling outside zone 1, and there Linus right back into the fight there through that inside clip, using a little bit of rumble. Is Artem out front? Doesn't really use it there though, and there's that contact. It's gonna come down to if that lead lifted before he transitioned, decelled in any type of way before he transitioned. It's super important for that lead to make their decel after they transition, really for situations like this where you have that chase coming in on that good proximity. It's their time to back off, but if lead is dropping speed out in front of them while they're trying to back off. They can't back off, and then you end up having contact. So super important for that lead to make their decel after they transition. I do think that he did do that, but I know those judges are going to double check and take a look at it and make sure that it wasn't that lead's fault out front when it comes to that contact that way before transitions happens, like right before them.
Yeah, it's great to see how they're out there just straight shredding, and Artie is just an absolute animal when it goes into different zones and how he's attacking the course. But what you were explaining, how that lift off throttle before transition, they didn't even think about that while it was going through it. But we have right for Artie, left for Tornqvist, and it looks like Artie Chokov gets the win. Tornqvist is getting knocked out of the top 32. Artie is moving on. And we are going to be seeing our final battle for our top 32 here at Riga. Oh my goodness. I am so happy I got another Red Bull because I'm getting excited. I know these drivers are getting excited. They need me more excited to get them hyped up. And chat, you guys have been fantastic. Next battle we have here is Daniel Andreev versus Andreas Kleinberg. Racing Team Riga livery, and you have Daniel Andreev being an absolute animal throughout this virtual Drift Masters season, coming in with a nice initiation, used some left for braking to stabilize his car, a little bit of a bobble in the chase from Andreas, but he is keeping that proximity and sticking it to the door of Daniel Andreev all the way through to outer zone 4 and 5. Oh my goodness, there was some contact made on that transition, but Daniel was unfazed, going all the way into that final outer zone and just hucking it everywhere he could.
Yeah, he certainly was, and just locked into that lead as well. As we'll take another look from that drone. Great initiation, locked into that angle, doesn't really waver, does a little left foot brake here and there, but again, locked into that line, filling these outside zones. Nicely done there, but here we go. A little bit of contact. Yeah, just a teeny tiny bit, and then gets out of whack there in that chase position. Offline, off angle, gets back into it, crosses the finish line with him, and we'll flip him around for the second half.
And Daniel Andreev was also a podium guy in Mondello, and he's just been on a tear, able to be locked to angle, dialed in for every track that he's competed in. This is our final battle, possible final battle. It might be one more time, you never know. But Andreas Kleinberg in that BMW in the lead, and you have Daniel Andreev in the chase with that 180SX. Andreas Kleinberg with a nice initiation, used some left foot braking, but real shallow on first outer zone. Andreas Kleinberg comes in with a lot of angle to dive into inner clip 1. And oh my goodness, here is Daniel Andreev trying to apply that pressure, use some left foot braking and throttle modulation as Andreas Kleinberg falls out a little bit of the final outer zone. But Daniel Andreev is just sticking it to the door every moment he gets.
Yeah, nice little dives throughout the course. We'll take another look here from this drone. Good initiation out front from Andres. As they continue on, good transition as well. Nice angle through inside clip, filling that next outside zone, and Andreev in that chase position, just patiently waiting for these transitions and then reeling him back in nice and clean as they cross that finish line. Again, last and final battle here in the top 32.
Oh my goodness. And it looks like there's a judge's decision. Left for Daniel, right for Andreas. And Daniel Andreev gets the win and moves on to the top 16. Man, these battles have been insane, Craig. Always love having you around, but sometimes my blood pressure goes all the way up there because these guys are just straight gangsters. What are you thinking, Craig?
Absolutely, and again, they just show us more and more why we should be holding them to such a high standard. I mean, it's almost near perfect lead runs, one after another. It really comes down to that chase and them taking advantage of that almost perfect lead run out in front of them. Just trust the driver in front of you and go for it. That's the best way here in the virtual world. And they show out every single round.
I love it how they're showing out. This is our top 16, our G2A and Metal Pro top our bracket, our top 16 right there. On the left side, you have some heavy hitters, as well as on the right side. We're going to see a lot of excitement throughout this top 16 battles. You have Adriel Machado, the guy that's been out here just straight shredded. And we're going to be doing a quick commercial, and then we're going to be doing a 10-minute break. So, Craig, I'll see you back in 10 minutes. Chat, I'll see you guys back in 10 minutes, and we're going to get the show on the road as soon as that break is over. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Virtual Drift Masters. My name is Jonathan Tiny Jarboe. We got Craig. Man, it's been an eventful top 32. What are you feeling about today? How are you thinking of how the competition is going to evolve?
Yeah, I mean, it can only go up from here. The top 32, those battles that we just witnessed there, I mean, those could have been finals for each and every single one of them. We had one more time there due to just a couple of little mistakes, but when they came back out, they came out firing. They cleaned things up. We had a really good battle, and I think a good deserving victor out of it as well. But a lot of heavy hitters here in the top 16, and they're about to go at it.
Yeah, you have Adriel Machado coming out here just being a heavy hitter. You also have Alan Hynes now in the top 16 against Steven Jarboe, which is going to be an interesting battle there. You see right here in our bracket, our top 16 battles, you have Darius Ostreika versus Ernestus Jakubelis. That's the battle. That's going to be something paramount, especially with the season standings.
Yeah, absolutely. And then those prizes too that they're going after each and every round, and that grand prize of going to Poland.
Yeah, and we are here at the next round of the actual Drift Masters. We're at Riga, just an insane track where it's a battle of finesse and speed, and a lot of these guys have been displaying both every lap that they do, and it's insane to see just on the series as a sim world versus just in real life. You got some real life Drift Masters drivers out here that actually struggled a little bit, but they're using this as a tool. Now we have Wojciech in the lead and Adriel Machado in the chase. I see some Brazil flags in the chat. Let's get this hype. This is the first battle of top 16. You see that Wojciech going in there with that BMW. Adriel Machado in the chase with that 890 Supra. Here comes Wojciech coming in with a nice initiation. Scandinavian flick to that first outer zone. Use some left braking to keep himself there. Adriel Machado is struggling a little bit, but now coming in to try to reel in that proximity into outer zone 4 all the way through. Here's the final outer zone. Wojciech is absolutely on a tear on the lead lap, and Adriel was struggling with that proximity but is able to reel him in at the end.
Wow, nicely done. What a start here for the top 16 as we take another look at it here. Wojciech out front, throwing that car in and locked into the angle as he makes his first transition, grabbing that inside clip, the next outside zone, and there's Adriel back into the fight along the bumper, drops back quite a bit for the last and final transition, but then quickly reels him back in, almost giving a little bit of contact there, crossing the finish line.
Man, it's so weird to see that kind of a run from Adriel from what I've seen in practice, but we'll see him in the lead. He's been doing a fantastic job putting a great lead run. Here's Wojciech in the chase with that BMW. Adriel Machado is in the 890 Supra coming out here. Seeing a lot of Brazil flags in the chat, and Adriel Machado just hucks it in there, angles up and locks in on first outer zone, transitions to outer zone 2. Beautiful, a little bit further away from that inner clip, but still holding on to that speed. But here's Wojciech keeping that proximity as tight as possible. When's that final outer zone? A little bit contact on that wall from Wojciech, but Adriel Machado just was on rails.
Yeah, sure was. Just super locked into that lead position as we take another look at it. Great initiation, nice and smooth. Almost drives out of that first outside zone, but he backs it right back into that zone, grabbing the next inside clip as well. But Wojciech's applying some pressure in that chase position as they make that transition across the track. Last and final one coming up here into the final outside zone. Adriel locked in as we see a little bit of contact in that chase position along the wall.
That was a huge correction on that BMW as a chase driver. I hate seeing that, but these guys are so locked in with each other. Like I was explaining earlier, the Brazilians, when I see them drive, a lot of the good Brazilians, you could feel that samba, that rhythm, and you right there on that lead lap of Adriel Machado, that's all you felt. that rhythm going through each zone and just dancing with that car. It's so cool to see. Me being a nerd and a fan of drifting, but Craig, I know you love this stuff too. What's some crazy stuff that you're be seeing with these drivers as they compete here? And here comes the judge's decision. And it looks like Adriel Machado gets the win and moves on. You're going to see a lot of Brazilian flags. I'm sorry to cut you off. What were you going to say, Craig?
No, absolutely a deserving win there from Adriel. Just locked into that lead nice and smooth, and remained patient in that chase position. Again, stayed smooth. Could have been maybe a little bit closer here and there, but it was enough to get the win today and move on into the top 8.
Yeah, you got... You got Bora and Vamo in the chat from the Brazilians. Love seeing that national pride and excitement. I love seeing that from these guys. You got Alan Hynes now in the lead versus Steven Jarboe in the chase. And Hynes improving himself as a top-notch competitor in every sim driving competition here. Over here, coming in with a nice Scandinavia, flicking that first out of zone, and riding that white line. Transition is buttery smooth. Here comes Steven Jarboe, trying to reel in that proximity and just tucking it right into the door of Alan Hynes. A little bit forward on the pocket on the second to last outer zone, but now he reels him in, dives into the pocket, rubs that tire against that wall.
Yeah, lead line locked in, loaded from Alan Hynes out front, but Steven Jarboe taking advantage here and there throughout this run. Not quite there on initiation, has to reel Alan in through this first transition. Not quite as close as he could be here, but nicely done on the bumper through that transition as Alan can blast and fight and along the door, finishing the first half of their battle.
It's so cool to see these guys come out here and compete and just straight these stellar drivers here. We got Steven Jarboe now going to be in the lead versus Alan Hynes. And we're going to see how they perform and the lead now. Steven Jarboe, well-known guy out here, is able to kind of huck it in, but it looks like the pressure was too much, and he makes himself, as Alan Hynes is going through to fill out each zone.
As he has there, it just takes him for a ride as Alan continues on again with pretty much a buy run at this point, filling these outside zones. Again, taking a little bit of practice here on the server, on the track. And again, here he goes across that finish line. We'll go to our judges here in the top 16.
And it looks like the drivers, if they look through the whole, which we it seems like it's going to be a clear-cut decision from the judges, but the judges are going to be putting up the bracket, and it looks like drivers are driving off, and Alan Hynes gets the win. I don't know if we have that judges diagram up, but yeah, that fall off on that first outer zone, unfortunate for Steven Jarboe, but supposedly there's history repeating themselves. We have Alan Hynes versus Adriel Machado. Is that, correct me if I'm wrong on that? Have they competed against each other in VDC?
Yeah, absolutely. Throughout their seasons in the competition, they had several battles amongst each other, and a little bit of rematch here at Riga coming up there in the top 8. But before that, Darius Ostreika and Ernestes Jaku coming up next here in the top 16.
This is going to be giving me some happy feet watching these guys drive. These are teammates too. So it's not the first times they've battled each other on the VDM series, but we have Ernestes Jaku versus Darius the Don Ostreika out here, just being straight savages with the 892 Brett. They're used to drifting with each other. They probably practice with each other multiple times on this track. So this is going to look hopefully like a ballet and not just a carnage battle right here. But right now here we're at on a Assetto Corsa on a sim rig. All these drivers have their own rigs, and we're at Riga, the next round of Drift Masters. Ernestus Jaku in the lead. Darius Ostreika in the chase. Ernestus coming in with a nice initiation, and here's Darius putting some pressure right on the door all the way through outer zone 1, giving some room on that transition. Ernestus Jaku is filling out each zone. Darius Ostreika is putting on the pressure, putting all the angle as much as possible. And there's this a little bit of a bobble on that final outer zone, but these two drivers are getting doors, baby.
Yeah, look at them go, just super smooth, dialed in, both of them. Again, Ernestus out front here on the replay. Look at that, just a little bit of contact there in the outside zone 1, almost there again through that transition in the course, filling the next outside zones, using all of the course there after that transition in the middle. Last and final one here along the wall. Look at there, just door to door crossing that finish line. We'll flip them around for the second half again of their top 16 battle.
These guys are insane, man. Yeah, now Ernestus is going to be in the chase. Darius is going to be in the lead. And guys, this is actually going to shake up the standings in the season. You have Darius, he's in second place. Ernestus Jaku is in first place on season standings. Darius is in the lead. Second lap of this battle. Darius coming in with a nice initiation, smooth as he always has been throughout these battles in this competition. But here's Ernestus Jaku putting it to the door of the Don Ostreika all the way to the final outer zone. Ostreika, a little bit of a correction, but able to rub that back bumper on that wall. Jaku is also getting doors.
My goodness, are they gonna just absolutely force it into him one more time? We'll take another look. Darius out front this time. Ernestus giving chase. Look at there once more. No contact there in outside zone 1 this time as they continue on throughout the course, filling that next outside zone. This next one coming up as well, right along that rumble strip and along the wall there. We have a little bit of contact from that chase position as they continue on. A little boop along the wall before crossing that finish line is Darius. But we'll go to our judges here again. I mean, it's tough to call. I mean, I almost have to send it into a one more time, right? But I mean, just super clean from both of them.
Yeah, you got Ernestus Jaku saying you might have been bitten by a spider like Tobey Maguire, but I've been bitten by a goat. I'm gonna take you out, man. So it's been absolutely a heater of 2 laps of both of these drivers. Like I said, they probably practiced with each other before, so getting prepped for this competition. They know the tendencies of each driver and able to kind of dial it in, reel them in, know where they could surge and not worry about making contact.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a decision.
Left for Darius, right for Ernestus. And Jaku gets the win and moves on and knocks Darius down a couple levels. Beautiful performance from both of these drivers. They all have love for each other. They're excited to see one of their teammates moving on to the next part of this competition.
Yeah, super fun battle to watch there in that top 16. Tough to see him go out into the top 16, but he'll get a little bit of points for making it into that top 16, but we'll see Ernestus in the top 8.
Now we have Vitaly Isaev versus Steven Hatcher. Steven Hatcher has been doing a good job chopping down some opponents throughout the season. Second time back-to-back being able to be in the top 32 and even to the top 16. So we'll see how he performs with that BMW. Vitaly Isaev is going to be in the 180SX. So we'll see how this Canadian can go up against his European out here. Here we go. Vitaly Isaev coming in the lead. Coming in with a nice Scandinavia flick to that first out of zone, using that left foot brake to stabilize his car with all that momentum going forward. And Vitaly Isaev is on a tear in the lead, but Steven Hatcher is able to sink his axe right to the door to keep that proximity. A little bit of a contact right before that final outer zone. Vitaly Isaev is all the way through and filling it out with that bumper scraping up against that wall.
Yeah, nicely done by Vitaly out front. We'll take another look here from this drone view initiating in, nicely done, and locked into that first outside zone. Steven Hatcher right along that bumper through that first transition, staying with him through turn 2, turn 3 coming up now. Nicely done once more, very smooth. Dropping back for the last and final transition is Steven, and he stays with him through the last and final outside zone. But again, nicely done out front from Vitaly.
Vitaly, he's one of those guys, and I feel like he's not an underdog, but he's very, in a sense, underrated because you can't just sleep on him. Vitaly Isaev is going to be in the lead or in the chase with that 180. Every time I see Vitaly out in competition, he comes out of nowhere and just shreds. So we have Steven Hatcher in the lead. Vitaly Isaev in the chase. Steven Hatcher with that Sim Magic BMW Canadian flag on top. A little bit of a bobble on outer zone 1, but able to reel that angle back in to outer zone 2 and dive into inner clip 1. And here comes Vitaly Isaev trying to keep a nice proximity with Steven. And Steven looks like he used that rumble strip just a little bit on the second to last outer zone. But here's Vitaly Isaev just sticking it to his door of Steven Hatcher.
Yeah, nicely done. As you pointed out, Steven definitely using a little bit of that rumble strip there at that outside zone. We'll take another look here. Nice and snappy initiation, but does drive out of that outside zone just a little bit. Little small waivers through outside zone 1 as well as Steven out front does get ahead of that chase position as we work their way to the last and final outside zone. Vitaly now right there applying some pressure, crossing that finish line. Tough battle to call here in the top 16.
This is insane. And I just read the chat. Someone asked what game this is, and someone yelled Roblox. We got the judge's decision. Vitaly left, Steven Hatcher to the right, and it looks like Vitaly Isaev gets to win. This is Assetto Corsa. There's mods so you can drift on here. A lot of professional drivers use this as a tool to get themselves ready for the next competition. You saw some Drift Masters drivers actually compete here. This competition is presented by G2A and MetaPro as the main sponsors. And man, that Roblox comment got me. I couldn't say nothing about it. All right. We have Nico, Stella, the young buck with the Escuco livery in that 180. And we have Wahlman in that RX-7. Looking forward to the lights. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. Nico, Stella. Young buck from Spain has been absolutely on a tear in the sim community, coming in with a really aggressive flick into that first outer zone, going into outer zone 2 with nice angles, speed, and momentum in inner clip 1, and then outer zone 3, buttery smooth throughout outer zone 4. And my goodness, here comes Wahlman, keeping that proximity as much as possible. A little bit of shaky of a surge going in to the pocket of Nico, Stella.
Nico on fire out front as we go back to the replay here, getting out ahead out the gate as they initiate in, and he fills this outside 1 near perfect. Great transition across, good angle across that inside clip as well, filling the next outside zone. Nicely done there from that chase position, that RX-7 along the bumper through the transitions, but there maybe a little nudge in that chase position as he sacrifices quite a bit of line and angle to stay with Nico out front.
Nico is, I feel like at times when I watch Nico, it looks like he's a slot car, and he's able to go around the turns with no problem. It's absolutely insanity seeing him drive. And now we have Wahlman in the lead. Nico, Stella in the chase. Coming in with a nice generous flick from Wahlman, able to stay in that zone and very consistent, locked in throughout his zone 2. But here comes Nico, Stella, rubbing his front tire on the door of Wahlman. Wahlman is unfazed, being able to fill each line. Huge angle on Nico, Stella that forces him into the wall, but Wahlman is straight up wall riding that final outer zone.
Yeah, he certainly was. We'll take another look here on this replay. An interesting little bit there in that last and final outside zones. We see Nico maybe over-rotate a little bit as we work their way through. Going a little bit wide of that inside clip is Wahlman out front. but he's on a good line here for that outside zone. Good transition across as well. Yeah, you see Nico just kind of back it in there after a really snappy transition out front. And they cross the finish line, and we'll wait on the judges to maybe take a second look and make sure they're making the right call here in the top 16. Tough one.
Yeah, it looked like Nico was prepared to surge, but didn't realize, possibly didn't realize he was going to be in the decel zone, and he surged too quick on Wahlman, and that's what forced him to kind of over angle so it doesn't force the contact. So that's what I saw on the drone replay, and now we have our judges looking over everything. What are you thinking after that discussion of that transition, man?
Yeah, again, it's a really tough one. We saw out front that RX-7 just really snappy coming into that last and final outside zone, but I don't think there's really anything wrong with it as long as they're not, like absolutely parking the car there coming into that last and final outside zone. It didn't really seem that way, just maybe an unfortunate mistake from Nico, as we see, Wahlman gets the win and moves on into the top 8.
Yeah, Wahlman gets to win, and he is moving on to the grade 8. I didn't realize I made a pun at the end of that lap when I said Wahlman is riding that wall to the finish line, and it didn't click. He's from Finland. So we have our next battle: Sullivan versus Martinez. Martinez Ostreika, a brother of Darius Ostreika. We saw him battle earlier and get knocked out by his teammate Ernestus Jaku. Now we have Sullivan, the American-made driver with the Sim Magic livery, BMW, versus Martinez. And now here in that 890 Supra, Sullivan with a nice initiation, very beautiful angle through that first outer zone, and able to be smooth and consistent. And here's Martinez trying to huck it in there, using a lot of left foot braking to keep that proximity, giving him some room. Looks like Sullivan might have tagged that rumble strip a little bit, but Sullivan is unfazed by that little tag. And here's Martinez keeping that proximity all the way through to the final line.
Yeah, really nice and clean first half of their top 16 battles. We take another look. Sullivan out front, initiating in, locked into that angle as we see zero waivers out front. A little bit of left foot brake as we see a little puff of smoke from that front tire. They continue on filling these outside zones, dropping back quite a bit in that chase position though, but he reels him in quickly for the last and final outside zone, staying there with him in the pocket, crossing that finish line.
It was great seeing Martinez in the chase, massaging that left foot brake to keep that proximity, but it looks like he fell off a little bit on proximity towards the second half, but able to reel him in at that last turn. Here we go. Martinez in the lead. Sullivan in the chase. Sullivan in that BMW. He was a VDC champ, coming in with a nice initiation, almost side by side by Martinez, and Martinez is just filling out that first outer zone with nice smooth angle and transition. But here is Sullivan keeping that proximity and mirroring the transitions of Martinez like a robot. Martinez rides that outer wall, looks like a little bit of contact on the outer wall, but is able to continue drift.
Yeah, looking like he went a little bit too deep there in that last and final outside zone. We'll get a second look here on the replay from the drone here. Nicely done for outside zone 1 though. Great transition across, a great line through that inside clip. That next outside zone as well, right up along that rumble strip as they make their last and final transition. Yeah, just a little bit of the wall has to get back into angle out front before crossing that finish line here in the top 16.
It's insane to see these drivers like robots. And you have Sullivan to the left, Martinez to the right. Unanimous. Sullivan gets the win and moves on to the grade 8. Oh,
yeah, all from that just tiny hit there in that last and final outside zone, having to get back into angle, and it comes down to that, just teeny tiny little mistakes here, and it's only gonna be more of that as we move on throughout the competition. Just the smallest, tiniest little mistakes are gonna be those deciding factors.
Yeah, it's so nerve-wracking. I could only imagine these guys at the line, especially with the prize after every round. And we have Wojciech in the lead and Artem in the chase. Here we go. We have S15 versus R34. You guys using the regular liveries from the VDM pack that you would see if you were to download the packs and tracks on vdm.gp. Here we go. Wojciech in the lead. Artem in the chase. Coming in with a nice initiation with that S15, and that R34 just snaps the angle and was able to hold that momentum back. Has the angle up a little bit on that inner clip so he doesn't make contact with Wojciech all the way through to the second to last outer zone, and Wojciech out there just putting that back bumper where he needs to. And here comes Artem, just rowdy as can be with that R34.
Yeah, another really clean battle to start things off here in the top 16 as we get a second look here on the drone. Great initiation by both of them. Look at them locked into the angle, kind of drawing out of it a little bit. Takes a second to get to that angle that Artem wanted in that chase position, but they continue on kissing that rumble strip, working their way into the last and final outside zone, filling it all the way around as well while pressure being applied in that chase position.
Yeah, buddy. Here we go. Artem in the lead with our 34. Wojciech in the chase with the S15. Let's see how rowdy they can be. Waiting for the lights. Here we go. Artem coming out there with that nice chase run he did. Nice initiation going to that first out of zone. But here it comes Wojciech coming in with that right there proximity all the way on the door. Getting all the way into each zone is Artem. Oh, mercy. Huge angle in the second to last outer zone. Using that angle to slow himself down and able to huck that angle into that final outer zone. But here comes Wojciech getting doors. Changing the Spotify playlist to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, nicely done again by both of these. Super clean lead out front, really clean chase. And they fill that first outside zone. A little bit of contact there, I think, as well throughout it as they continue on filling these outside zones anyway, all the way up to that rumble there. Nicely done out front. Just, again, really smooth and locked in, but opening the door for that chase to do that right there, crossing that finish line. A little bit of contact, a little bit of nudging, and we'll wait on our judges here.
Oh, man. These guys are straight shredding, and I see these guys having great sportsmanship in the chat. Artem goes, "You are too good," to Wojciech. Both of these drivers are just absolutely insane. And looking throughout the whole competition, these guys are filtered from 130 drivers going through qualifying. And you have our judges looking through the runs, seeing who has the better line, the better speed, the better style. But now we got our judges' decision. A G2A judges board, left for Wojciech, right for Artem. And Wojciech gets the win. Moves on to the grade 8. Now we are going into our final battle of our top 16. We have Artem Cholov versus Daniel Andreev. Artie out here, I explained to you guys before, he is very aggressive as a driving style. I love watching him just put and lay down suppressing fire on each track he goes to. And you have Daniel Andreev, just absolute slayer out here. Here we go. We have them lined up. The 180s SXs on the line. And the lead is Daniel Andreev. And the chase is Artem Cholov. Here we go. Daniel Andreev coming in here with a nice initiation. Oh, some contact made from Artie being super aggressive. Forces him offline, and Artie is going to fill out each zone. Continue on as Daniel Andreev is probably saving his tires. Going all the way through to the final outer zone.
Yeah, unfortunate to see some contact that early in the run, but we'll get a better look at it here from the drone view. Yeah, just coming in with, not quite enough angle maybe in that chase position and making some contact, hitting that lead off track. But again, judges will analyze that. We saw some contact there earlier in the competition. We saw it go in the favor of that chase position where lead initiated it, made a decel, and then made a second decel. So they'll look for things like that. But we'll flip them around and send them on their way for their second half of their battle.
Yeah, especially when it comes into that initiation. If you put too much angle and you try to correct yourself, that's gonna force a choke for the chase driver. So we have Artie in the lead, Daniel Andreev in the chase. Here we go. We're waiting for the lights from our judges. We're waiting for them to get everything analyzed and situated. There to the lights. Here we go. Artem Cholov. See if he puts out a stellar lead line. Coming in with a nice initiation. Very aggressive speed in that first out of zone. Using that left foot brake to angle up his car. And then, a little bit of a rumble strip tap that forced him to unsettle his car and try to get himself locked back in. It's outer zone 4, huge angle, and uses a left foot brake in to get himself filled out on that final outer zone. And here's Daniel Andreev just trying to keep that proximity in the chase, be active.
Yeah, I think he did enough there in that chase position, and not quite the cleanest lead run out front from Artem as we take another look at it. Real shallow on the angle there through turn 1, outside zone 1. There as well along that transition, he grabs a little bit of rumble strip, which could have had a roll in that as they continue on, and then comes in just not quite enough speed from all the angle from the outside zone before this last and final one, and then the angle coming into that last and final outside zone as well comes up a little bit short of that outside zone. But we'll get a decision from our judges here in just a second here. The last and final battle of the top 16.
Artem Cholov left, Daniel Andreev to the right. And Daniel Andreev gets the win and moves on. Artem Cholov reign ends at the top 16. Excited to see how he performs for the rest of the season. But this is our final battle of the top 16. These guys are absolute slayers. Now when you're looking at the bracket, who are you excited to see now? We saw the bracket has been crazy.
Oh, excuse me. Every single last one of them, I'm looking forward to on this bracket. Again, the top 16, what we just witnessed there was absolutely insane, and the excitingness is just gonna go out the roof.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we're gonna do a 4-minute break, and we'll catch you guys shortly. And now, our next round in Latvia. If you guys have seen Drift Masters on Red Bull TV, use that QR code, get your tickets to go out there and check out the Latvia round. You're going to see some of your drivers that you've seen here today in real world. It's a fun environment. And you have the G2A bracket up here. We have these guys. You said every battle is going to be stellar. Every round, every battle, every round, every series we've done and here has been insane.
Yeah, they sure have, and every single battle here in this top 8 that's coming up here soon is it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and now it looks like we are getting our top 8 ready, and then we're gonna see. We're gonna go all the way into the finals. So I'm excited to see these guys just straight shred and just put out all the competition that they can be. Especially when you're going into different battles. Every series, for the virtual series, we're going to be doing this kind of competition. But we'll catch you guys out on the break after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Virtual Drift Masters. I'm Jonathan Tiny Jarboe with my partner in crime, Craig. This competition has been insane. We're at our top 8. What are you feeling about this whole bracket?
I mean, absolutely insane. All the way through this top 32, it started out absolutely crazy. Drivers coming out swinging, and they haven't really let up at all. Moving on into the top 8, Adriel, Machado, and Alan Hynes. A little matchup of the decade coming up. Ernestes and Vitali also going up against each other. Wahlman and Sullivan, Wojciech Wawrinka, and Daniel Andreev all facing off against each other there in the top 8.
And it's from what I'm seeing in the chat that the Adriel Machado versus Alan Hynes, one of them hasn't even beaten the other. It's been supposedly lopsided, on from what people are researching on the VDC side. So this is going to be a real demon battle. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a barn burner for sure.
Barn burner. Now I know you're from the sticks, man. But I love seeing this kind of competition. You got these guys getting ready. They're lining up. You have Adriel Machado in the chase, and Alan Hynes, the Irishman, in the lead. We're waiting for the lights. We're going to get our top 8 on the way. Here we go. First battle of the Grade 8, and Adriel Machado jump starts to try to keep that proximity. Super aggressive from Adriel Machado. Alan Hynes, beautiful Scandinavian flick to that first out of zone, going all the way through. Transitioning is good. Oh, Adriel Machado uses the little bit of rumble strip that forces the angle. Huge mistake from him. Let's see if he'll dive right back in the chase. Alan Hynes is just feeling out each zone, unfazed by the chase driver. Alan Hynes is finishing up that lap.
Yeah, I mean, getting back into the fight quickly, though, after that mistake. Let's take another look at it. Alan using all of the course that he has allowed, filling outside zone 1. Great transition across, and there it is. We see Adriel get a little bit of that rumble strip, upsetting the rear of that car, over-rotating, but again, quickly getting back into it, not giving up on the run, getting back into the fight, and there they go, crossing the finish line door to door together.
Oh no, that's so unfortunate for Adriel Machado. He's been doing a fantastic job throughout qualifying, throughout practice, throughout the battles. That mistake could cost him, but now we have him in the lead. Alan Hynes in the chase. Here we go. 890 Supras from Adriel Machado. Alan Hynes coming in here with a nice initiation from Adriel. It looks like he fell out of outer zone 1 midway through, but was able to fill it back up. Outer zone 2 is good. Adriel Machado is doing a fantastic job trying to keep that momentum through each zone. A little bit of a tap on that rumble strip, and now he's going to dive into that final outer zone. But Alan Hynes, the Irishman, is keeping that proximity all the way through that whole lap.
Yeah, nicely done from Alan there, but nicely done from Adriel out front as well, putting down a solid lead run as he fills outside zone 1, sacrificing a little bit of angle there, but gets right back into it for turn 2, grabbing that outside zone as well, working his way to the next one, and nicely done for the wall ride here, settling in nicely to the last and final outside zone, but Alan applying some pressure, doing everything I think he needs to in that chase position to seal the deal here in the top 8.
Love the sportsmanship between the drivers in the chat. It's equivalent of the drivers coming out of the car and talking to each other. Adriel Machado to the left, Alan Hynes to the right. Alan Hynes gets the win and moves on. Adriel Machado, spectacular performance from him throughout this whole competition.
Yeah, unfortunate to see Adriel go out that way again, just a little bit too deep after that first transition, getting a little bit of that really tall rumble strip, upsetting the rear of that car and sending it around.
And now we have Vitaly Isaev versus Ernestes Jakubelis. Looking at how they're going to perform. Jaku is getting locked in. You don't normally see him go into the burn pit to kind of like check his equipment, but this time he is like, I need to lock in and check my equipment, get ready for this chase run. Vitaly Isaev in that 180 SX. Coming out here, being super aggressive right off the start, coming in with a Scandinavia flick, left foot brake to keep that deep proximity of that back end to the final of that first outer zone. Vitaly Isaev is just absolutely shredding, but Ernest's Jaku just diving in and mimicking each of the movements of Vitaly Isaev. Man, they almost had me lost for words right off the rip.
Really smooth start to this top 8 battle between these two. Vitaly out front doing a nice job with turn 1, but Ernestes in that chase applying some pressure, keeping it smooth right along the bumper through that transition as they work through that next outside zone and into the final one there with the wall. Vitaly up against it, Ernestes up against him as they cross that finish line.
Oh man, we were talking earlier how Vitaly Isaev, he's not someone to sleep on. He's a really good driver, and I think Ernestes is knowing that, and he has to lock in on each of the run. Here we go. Ernestes Jaku in that 890 Supra in the lead. Vitaly Isaev in the chase. Ernestes Jaku coming in with a nice initiation, filling out that first outer zone, but here comes Vitaly Isaev giving him some room on that proximity. Oh my goodness, how he dove right into the pocket of that inner clip, but Jaku is unfazed, huge angle going through each zone and dives right to the wall. Vitaly Isaev is right in the pocket and getting door to door and getting rowdy out here.
Yeah, absolutely. A tough one to call for these judges here in the top 8 as we get a second look from the drone this time. As we see him fill outside zone 1 about as deep as you possibly can be. Nicely done for the inside clip as well. That outside zone, pressure being applied from that chase position. Vitaly making a last and final dive here in that chase position as they work their way through that last and final outside zone. And we go to our judges here once more in the top 8.
I'm so happy I'm not a judge. These guys just make it so hard at times, and just I'm such a fan in seeing how they perform, and it's so hard, and these judges are putting in the work to kind of figure out who has more mistakes compared to the other. This is a little like fine tuning that they had to go through with each lap that they do. It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, they do not make it easy whatsoever. These drivers, the lead runs are, again, near perfect lead runs, just back to back to back, even through quali as well. We forget the judges have to go through 2 days of quali with how many drivers there are, 130 of them plus. And then it gets all dwindled down to these top 32 drivers, really all the scores into the 90s. And then they come out here and do it for the battles. So again, it comes down to that chase so many times where those leads are just, so close to each other. You can't hardly take anything away from them. You really have to look for those teeny tiny little things, and the judges have their work cut out for them.
All right, slide him left for Ernestes. Slide him right for Vitaly. And it looks like a one more time for these two drivers. Oh my goodness. We're going to see this again. How close they were battling. Holy smokes.
Yeah, too close to call between them two. I think a super fair call. And they'll line right back up, and we'll see them battle it out once more here in the top 8.
Oh my goodness. I would be sweating bullets, like just getting ready to go into the battles and stuff. Like, it's insane to see how, like, if I were to battle against Ernestes or any of these drivers in a competition wise, I would be nervous going to the line. Take it.
I'd
it
lose.
Is virtual. I know I would lose. I'd just be nervous. Because some of these wheels, they have a lot of force feedback, and I'm probably going to go mock Jesus into their door, and I don't want to hurt them. So here we go. Vitaly Isaev in the lead. Jaku in the chase. See if Vitaly can keep up with his vitals all the way through that first out of zone, and Jaku gets side to side, door to door with Vitaly. Oh, mercy, through each outer zone and inner clip. And Vitaly is doing a fantastic job with angle and putting on a show in the lead. But Jaku is keeping that proximity throughout the whole lap.
I mean, was that any different from the first battle? As we get a second look from the drone, Vitaly out front initiating in. Again, once more, perfect through zone 1 as they make their transition across. Look at their Ernestas in that chase position right there along the bumper as they make that one, working their way through these outside zones and just planning it along the walls. Vitaly out front, Ernestas applying some pressure in that chase across the finish line. They go.
Oh man, they're gonna give me a heart palpitations, man. They're going crazy. Here we go. Ernestas is in the lead. Vitaly Isaev in the chase. We're waiting for the lights from the judges. And if you guys are watching, that there's a semaphore there that's actually controlled by a player. We have Ernestas Jaku in the lead with the A90 Super. Let's see if he'll get aggressive with that initiation, but he does a buttery smooth transition or initiation into that first out of zone. But here comes Vitaly Isaev, just keeping that proximity and putting the pressure on Jaku all the way through each zone. Jaku, oh my goodness, I thought he was gonna nail that wall, but was able to reel it in. But here's Vitaly Isaev just straight dooring him.
Yeah, absolutely dooring him across that finish line. We get a second look from the drone. Nicely done on the initiation from both. A lot of pressure being applied from that chase position. Vitaly, as they work their way through these outside zones and using every bit of the course, is Ernestas out front and then just planning it along the wall and stays there all the way around this last and final outside zone. You can't do it any better. And we'll go to our judges once more here in the top 8.
Man, these guys are just absolutely, I'm just in awe at times. These guys are just out there shredding. Ernestas is just super consistent. His initiation and the lead was very, very smooth, but on the chase, he was super aggressive, getting pretty much in the rear quarter panel of Vitaly and just diving right into the pocket. They are absolutely monsters out here. It's unfortunate. This is a top 8 battle, and one person is not going to have a opportunity to get in the podium. Like, it's so unfortunate. These two drivers are so spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. This could have easily been a finals today here at Riga.
Oh, God. Man. And when you have these judges, so we have a VDC judge, we have a DCGP judge, and a Drift Masters judge, and they're having to take a lot of time to look at the battle to figure out who has tit for tat. This shows the caliber of drivers these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Again, each and every single lead run is near perfect. It comes down so much to that chase and taking advantage of that perfect lead run. And the judges looking for those teeny tiny little mistakes from those near perfect lead runs, because sometimes the chase runs are absolutely perfect as well, and you can't really take anything from them as on top of it. So it's a tough job for those judges here in the virtual space.
Yeah, and it's so cool because these guys, not only do they do this competition for bragging rights and oh, it looks like Vitaly Isaev gets the win and moves on. Ernestas Jaku gets knocked out of the grade 8. This is gonna force a little bit of a rumble in the season standings.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is gonna play a role in the standings, I think, and maybe not such a big jump Ernestas will be making over Darius.
Yeah, So it looks like we have Chris. Chris is out here, one of the judges. Let's explain this run real quick and why'd you come to that decision?
Adrian. So it all comes back for us with the rulebook. So the rulebook for Drift Masters and the same for Virtual Drift Masters is that it is weighted sort of 60-40 on the lead line. So the only thing that really splits it for us is the lead-to-lead sort of aspect of it. So it's at the clip 3 on Anestas's lead. He unfortunately is on the second hash mark and is just a little bit wide, whereas on Vitaly's lead, he is absolutely nailing that lead line the whole way around. He's doing everything we asked of him, and that is the only difference. The one thing I will give Anestas is that his chase sort of clip 1 through clip 3 was very impressive, but Vitaly was also very impressive in the chase, and then that's the big difference, is that unfortunately Anestas just misses out getting down into clip 3.
Man, just by a hair. But thank you so much for explaining that battle, and now the spectators actually understand a little bit more. Chris, I appreciate you, man.
Cheers, dude.
All right, here we go. We got our next battle. Sullivan versus Wahlman. We have our two drivers out here. You have the RX-7 versus the BMW. Sullivan, great driver out here, coming out here to try to slay the competition. Huge Scandinavian flick into that first outer zone. Nice fill out on that first outer zone. Transition is good. Here comes Wahlman to keep that proximity all the way through, but he's losing it. Going all the way to the second and last outer zone. He needs to dive into that pocket because Sullivan is very consistent in the lead. And I know he could be super aggressive in the chase. Here's Wahlman keeping that proximity to the final line.
Yeah, is that going to be enough from that chase position as we see Zach put down a very solid lead run out front, getting a little bit ahead there in turn 1 outside zone 1, outside zone 2, filling it great on the inside clip as well, that next outside zone. And again, getting away a little bit out front from that RX-7 in that chase position from Wahlman. Yeah, they go across in the finish line. Now door-to-door, Wahlman getting into the fight. But again, we know Zach can be super aggressive in that chase.
Yes, he can. And we'll see how he performs out here, if he's going to be very conservative. I don't see him being conservative in the chase, but we have Wahlman, the Finnish driver, going to be in the lead with that RX-7. See how super rowdy he could be in the lead. Beautiful initiation, handbrake drag into that first outer zone. It looks like he was a little bit too deep in that first outer zone, but here comes Sullivan keeping that proximity all the way to the outer zone 3, going all to outer zone 4. Beautiful transition from Wahlman. A little bit of a tap from Sullivan. He's a little bit far forward in the pocket, but now really in the angle to keep that proximity and mirroring the lead driver.
Yeah, let's take a second look here on this replay. Wahlman now out front in that RX-7. Sullivan giving chase, giving a little bit of room there, but reeling him in just a little bit for turn 1, staying on the bumper for that first transition, and then staying with him through turn 2 once more along that bumper through that transition. Last and final dive here, and it does look like Wahlman not quite parked the car, but did slow down quite a bit coming into that last and final outside zone, but does end up filling it pretty nicely. And, you know, just a little bit of contact there, but we do have a quick decision from the judges.
All right, left for Wahlman, right for Zach. Sullivan moves on and able to battle for a podium position, making it to the first slot on the right side of this bracket for the top 4. Next, we have Vocek versus Daniel Andreev. Vocek is actually the DCGP champion, so it'll be interesting. All right, I'm not trying to do commentator's curse. It'll be interesting to see DCGP champion versus VDC champion. Here we go. Vocek in the lead. Daniel Andreev in the chase. Let's see how these guys perform. Vocek coming out here in that S15. And here is Daniel Andreev in that 180 SX being super aggressive, diving right into the pocket, right off the rip. Vocek is being super smooth in outer zone 2 and outer zone 3. Nice angle And Daniel Andreev is being a little bit conservative, but now he's getting aggressive, keeping that proximity to Vocek's door all the way through that final outer zone. This was very strange. I was expecting Daniel to be a little bit more aggressive in the chase.
Yeah, we'll take a second look at it here. Nicely done on the initiation. And he's there through turn one. Nicely done through the transition, but does fall back just a little bit. Can't quite get there, but he is back on the bumper for the transition. Just doesn't really man afterwards until this last and final outside zone. He stays with him throughout that whole entire zone and crossing the finish line. But yeah, it could have been closer here and there throughout that run.
Yeah, it was it's strange with Daniel Andreev when he was able to compete against Artem Chokov. He was very super aggressive in the chase, but now like it was a little bit of a fall off. But now we have him in the lead, and we have Vocek in the chase. Let's see how they perform out here. Two S chassis, 180 SX in the lead, S15 in the chase. Daniel Andreev coming in with a nice initiation, filling out the first outer zone. And here comes Vocek. Nice smooth transition in the chase to dive right into the pocket. A little bit of a contact on the transition. Forces Daniel Andreev to kind of make contact with the rumble strip and the outer wall. Going all the way through to this finish line. Weird battle right here from what we were seeing earlier, man.
Yeah, I think we'll get a better look at it here from the drone. Great initiation from both of them, locked into the angle forward turn one. Good transition to start things out as well. But here coming up, yeah, a little bit of contact there. That's going to send that lead car a little bit wide, and then some more contact after going up onto the rumble. But good job on lead to keep things going and end up finishing the run anyway. But unfortunate to see such a scrappy, don't want to say messy battle here in the top 8, but it definitely got interesting between these two.
Yeah, it wasn't messy. It was just very unpredictable in a sense for these two drivers, because we're used to seeing them consistently drifting a certain way, and this battle was very uncharacteristic from both of the drivers. So I wonder what the judges are going to be thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, it is, we see it time and time as we work our way through competitions. Sometimes drivers going a little bit too hard as we get further into the bracket, but we have a decision.
Daniel Andreev gets the win and moves on. Vocek gets knocked out on the top 8, and that is very surprising in the way consistency wise, but Daniel Andreev has been on a tear throughout this whole VDM competition. Right here, you got the G2A Meta Pro bracket. You see our top 4. You got Alan Hynes versus Vitaly Isaev, and you have Zach O'Sullivan versus Daniel Andreev. And the winner moves on to the battle of first and second place. The loser moves on to the battle of third place. We're towards the end of the series or the round. I'm super excited to see where this ends up. Man, Craig, this has been insane. Now we have Vitaly Isaev in the lead, Alan Hynes in the chase, and these guys have been really aggressive throughout this whole lap track. We got some people in chat saying Alan versus Zach for the final. Who you guys think is going to the final? Say it in chat. Get us hyped up. Vitaly Isaev in the lead. Alan Hynes in the chase. Vitaly Isaev coming in with a nice initiation, going to that first out of zone. Oh my goodness. Alan Hynes just dove right in. Mirrored angle. Used left foot brake to keep that proximity from the first 3 outer zones. Vitaly Isaev does a great job in the lead, putting out a spectacular line, rubbing that back bumper. But here is Alan Hynes keeping the close proximity.
Yeah, nicely done here in the final 4 between these two. Vitaly out front, Alan Hynes giving chase here on the replay. Nicely done on the initiation. Both locked into the angle and that line. Alan making a dive there through that first transition and then slowly backing off, slowly reeling him back in. Here we go, that last and final outside zone along the wall. Both of them there, door to door, crossing that finish line.
This is insane. Now we have Vitaly Isaev in the chase. I'm getting word from the judges. Waiting for them to get lined up. There it is. Here's the lights. Winner moves on to the battle of first and second place. Loser moves on to the battle of third and fourth place. Here's Alan Hynes with a beautiful initiation. Wins that first outer zone. Beautiful transition. And here's Vitaly Isaev keeping that proximity right off the rip. Going into outer zone 4, 5. Huge angle from Alan Hynes. Diving into that final outer zone and filling all the way out. But Vitaly Isaev is just there being rowdy and rambunctious.
Yeah, Vitaly staying with him, and we'll take a second look here on the replay. Alan Hynes out front, initiating in, filling outside zone 1 nicely, makes the transition, but does go just a little bit wide there for that inside clip, grabbing that second hash, but then filling the next 2 and 3 outside zones right along the wall. But Vitaly applying some pressure in that chase position, giving him a little nudge and crossing that finish line.
Oh my goodness. The amount of just absolute insanity from these drivers from top 32 all the way to the finals has been insane. And if you haven't noticed, these guys are on sim rigs. They've been practicing a lot. A lot of these guys have been just straight shredding in each kind of competition. You got BCGP, you got VDC. You have 2 drivers, Alan Hynes and Zach Sullivan, have been champions of VDC. Am I correct, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you have Daniel Andreev was a DCGP champion as well. So it seemed like the 2 worlds are starting to collide, and it's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I mean, an insane amount of talent out there in the virtual world. I don't think we've quite discovered, everybody just yet, and their true talents for sure.
Slide him left for Alan. Slide him right for Vitaly. Alan Hynes gets the win and moves on. The battle of first and second place. And now we have a battle. Zach Sullivan versus Daniel Andreev. Oh my goodness. A little boop from Vitaly to Alan Hynes while they drive away. It's pretty funny. Now we have the guys lining up. Zach Sullivan is going to be in the lead. Daniel Andreev is going to be in the chase. 180 SX. And the BMW. Zach Sullivan, great driver. Fantastic performer out here. Very consistent. He was struggling a little bit during qualifying, but he was able to kind of have fun with the second lap. The first lap, he was able to already be guaranteed a spot in the show. And then the second lap was kind of like a fun run for him. There he is. Zach Sullivan versus Daniel Andreev. Who's going to move on to the battle of first and second place? Beautiful initiation from Zach Sullivan. Using some left foot braking throughout the first outer zone. And now the second outer zone, stabilizing his car with his left foot brake all the way through to the outer zone 3. And Zach Sullivan is just keeping that angle all the way through, using a lot of left foot brake all the way throughout the whole track. But Daniel Andreev is unfazed by the red lights in the back. Holy smokes.
Yeah, nicely done by both of these drivers here in the top 4. Zach Sullivan out front here on the replay. Great initiation, settled into the angle. But again, Andreev right there in that chase position, almost not dropping back enough for that first transition, but he does get it done. Stays with Zach throughout the remainder of the run here. Zach settling in nicely, gives the wall a little touch there, but stays in it, crossing that finish line.
Wow. That was insane to watch. And it just keeping the momentum and stabilizing that car in the lead, it's very paramount, especially putting out a lead run like that. Like we heard earlier, 60-40. Lead is going to be 60. Chase is going to be 40. Here we go. Daniel Andreev in the lead. Zach Sullivan in the chase. Huge angle from Daniel Andreev, and he holds it with that initiation and able to fill out the first outer zone. But here's Zach Sullivan uses some left foot braking and a little bit of bullying going through outer zone 3, but able to stay locked in Maybe some contact on that transition, but Sullivan goes all the way into the pocket, a little bit far forward, and now tucks himself back into the... Man, that was insane.
Yeah, absolute insanity as we take a second look here on the replay. Great initiation, nice and locked in to outside zone 1-2 as well, grabbing that inside clip. Zach right there with him in the chase position, bumper to bumper through the transition, following him nicely. Yeah, a little bit of contact there. Zach really going for it. A little offline there in that chase position, works back to the pocket, crossing that finish line. Tough one to call here in the top 4.
Wow. Zach O'Sullivan, I think this is the second time he put me almost in a loss for words on this round. It's just insanity to see how he's able to control that car just by simple either throttle manipulation or even just a dab of the left foot brake to suck himself back in. These guys know what to do in certain situations that gets them to where they need to be for the judges.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane today, and these two drivers just now showed out. Could we see maybe a one more time here in the top 4?
That'd be awesome. I would love that.
I wouldn't mind.
Neither would I.
Just saying.
Yeah. Do you like
I'm
Red Bull?
here for
I like
it.
Red Bull.
I'm here for it. Send him again.
Send him again. Maybe give him a Red Bull, and then let's see how fast he go this time.
Let's go, chat. Send him again.
Yeah. Man.
Oh.
We might have a decision. Left for Zach, right for Daniel Andreev. And Daniel Andreev gets the win and moves on. Zach O'Sullivan is in the battle for 3rd place. Wow.
Yeah, holy smokes, but well deserved, absolutely, from Daniel Andreev. I think he was a little bit cleaner there in that chase position. The leads, once again, almost absolutely perfect, but Zach getting a little bit out of whack in that chase position coming into the last and final turn.
We're actually... So now we're having the battle for 3rd place. Vitaly Isaev versus Zach O'Sullivan. Yeah, you have now the clash. The VDC versus DCGP, and this is awesome. This is like insanity. VDC, your competition, Craig. You run that comp. It's awesome to see you guys. DCGP guys do that. Their comp. They're fantastic. They're more European side. This is a clash of titans now. It's insane. You got battle for 3rd place, and then after this will be a battle for 2nd place. So chat, who you got? You got Alan Hynes is going to be battling against Daniel Andreev, Vitaly Isaev, Zach O'Sullivan. Let's get this chat hyped and excited. The lights are going green. Vitaly Isaev in the lead. Zach O'Sullivan in the chase. Here comes Vitaly coming in with a nice initiation, going to that first out of zone, uses that left foot brake to hold it and dabbing that left foot brake here. Zach O'Sullivan being super aggressive, keeping that proximity all the way through outer zone 1, 2, and 3. Here, Vitaly Isaev using that nice angle going into that final outer zone. Close proximity to that wall. Zach O'Sullivan is keeping doors all day long.
A crazy run from both of them. Just out front, near perfect from Vitaly, and Zach taking advantage of it here as we take a second look from the drone. Nicely done with this outside zone here, right along that rumble strip, using all of the course there, right along the rumble strip once more. And again, Zach taking advantage, diving up onto the door, remaining clean, and crossing that finish line with Vitaly up front.
Here in I see it in chat. Doors, baby. Yeah, exactly. We'll see if that happens again. Zach O'Sullivan is now in the lead. He's been doing a fantastic job in the lead to keep that nice lead lap for that chase driver. Let's see how he performs out here. He can handle the pressure. He's been in this situation multiple times. Vitaly Isaev a little bit far forward to Zach O'Sullivan, but side-by-side initiation. Zach O'Sullivan dabs on the left foot brake the whole outer zone 1, was able to reel him in after contact all the way through outer zone 3, and Zach O'Sullivan is keeping it all the way through. Here's Vitaly Isaev unfazed and rubbing that tire into the door of Zach O'Sullivan. Sullivan.
Yeah, applying just every bit of pressure in that last and final outside zone. But I think we did see Zach go off a little bit there in that first outside zone as we wait for them to sort that replay. Here we go with the replay. Zach out front using every bit of course he can. Oh, okay, so there was a little bit of contact there in outside zone 1, pushing Zach to the outside just a little bit. He gets back up onto that correct line. As we see there, and Vitaly trying to get back into the fight. He does there, really applying some pressure here in the last and final outside zone. But I think we've seen a couple of times today the judges going on the side of the more clean driver between the two, as we saw just that little bit of contact there in that chase position from Vitaly. As long as they don't think Zach was maybe using a little bit too much left foot brake or something, this could go in the way of Zach Sullivan. But we'll have to wait and hear from our judges.
Yeah, it's cool to see these guys have such good sportsmanship. I've seen the chat, the in-game chat. They're talking to each other. It's, like I said earlier, it's like if a driver in real life went to the other car and started talking. Even like out of competition, I've been plenty of opportunities where I'm hanging out in the ACS Discord and all of a sudden Zach Sullivan hangs out with us and other VDC drivers. It's so cool to see how the communities mesh and well together and have a good time. They just want to do doors, but then when it's competition time, everybody is locked in. It's like their helmets there. Nobody's talking to each other until after the laps. But we got the G2A judges board. Right for Zach, left for Vitaly. Who's getting third place? And Zach Sullivan gets third place. Beautiful, beautiful performance from Zach throughout this whole competition.
Absolutely, a well-deserved podium from Zach Sullivan. But the action isn't over. We've got our final battle coming up to the line now.
Oh, mercy. Daniel Andreev versus Alan Hynes. Alan Hynes in that S chassis, the Irishman, been absolutely on a tear. This is the battle for first and second place. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. This is gonna be spectacular. Alan Hynes with that S chassis, the green S chassis. You have the 180SX, Daniel Andreev. Just saw his teammate get knocked out of the podium. Let's see if he'll redeem that loss. Alan Hynes coming in with the S15 with as much speed and momentum as possible. Oh, it looks like he fell out of outer zone 1, but Daniel Andreev gives him a bump, corrects his line. Alan Hynes is able to fill out each zone, and now Daniel Andreev is just sticking it to his door, keeping that proximity all the way through. Alan Hynes hucks that back end as close as possible to that final outer wall, but Daniel Andreev is just right in on his door.
Yeah, nicely done from Daniel there as we get a second look from the drone here. Alan Hynes out front. And yeah, that car did not really want to stay in outside zone 1 at all, and gets a little nudge there from Daniel Andreev in that chase position. They continue on. Now Alan back on the correct line and angle throughout this course, opening the door for Daniel Andreev to take advantage, and he does exactly that in that chase position.
And here is our final lap, possibly. It could be a one more time, we never know. Alan Hynes is in the chase, the Irishman versus Daniel Andreev. And Daniel Andreev has been an absolute demon in the series. So this is going to help him out with the points for sure. We're waiting for the lights. Here we go. Daniel Andreev is coming out here with that 180SX, yellow, blue, and black livery IRT, coming in with a nice initiation. But here's Alan Hynes, side-by-side initiation, keeping that proximity right off the rip. Outer zone 2 is beautiful. A little bit of contact from Daniel to Alan, all the way through to outer zone 4 and 5. Looks like Alan Hynes is keeping that proximity. He's being super aggressive, getting door-to-door all the way through. Man, that contact, I don't know who was at fault.
Yeah, that was wild there. The second half to the final battle. Let's take another look here. Daniel initiating in, some left foot brake being applied. A little bit of contact maybe up front there. Ooh, okay, so yeah, I mean, it barely affected the line at all. We did see Andreev maybe make his transition a little bit late and go wide for the inside clip, but could that be deemed at fault on Allen for maybe that little bit of tiny contact along the front end of Daniel out front through outside zone 1 that kind of took a little bit of angle out of the car again through outside zone 1, and then we saw that transition happen again just a teeny tiny little bit late, maybe putting Daniel on that second or third hash of that inside clip, and then we saw that little bit of rear end contact from Allen Hynes in that chase position as they worked their way through that inside clip, which really, again, it didn't affect the run too much, but a tough one to call here in the finals.
It's very tough, especially with these two drivers just being absolute shredders. I want to see it one more time, but I kind of want to see where the judges see who's at fault on that contact. So the judges are looking at the replays, figuring it out, seeing the chats. Nick Novak Racing is in chat. Hi, Nick. Hope you are doing well
Nick.
today. Yeah. And also, these guys are actually not on controller. They're actually on wheels, sim wheels. If you check out their social medias, you'll see them usually posting wheel cams throughout. But even on this podium battle, first and second place, Virtual Drift Masters is also presented by G2A and MetaPro. We can't do it. This is so awesome to have this competition that we thank them for having that support or giving us that support for this whole competition.
Yeah, as we should.
Yeah. G2A. And if you guys haven't checked out the Drift Matchers merch, use code VDM, you get 15% off, I believe. Yeah, 15% off if you use code VDM at the shop at driftmasters.gp. Looks like we're going into another replay. We have Daniel Andreev coming in with a nice initiation, filling out that first outer zone, transitioning. Man, that contact, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I wonder if they're looking for the contact in outside zone 1. It is really tough to see, and I'm not sure that there is any contact. Again, super tough to see there as they work their way through it. It's a little bit further than halfway through that zone, and here we go, a decision.
All right, left for Allen, right for Daniel Andreev. And it's a one more time battle. We're going to have them run it back. Chris is back into the chat. Chris, explain to me what was going on.
Yeah, so that one is a case of chase to chase. There is an argument that Hynes has the slightly cleaner chase, a little bit more proximity overall, but equally it is also because Daniel has that clean entry into the first turn that doesn't sort of throw off the chasing driver in any way. However, on lead, Allen goes a little bit wide on clip 1 because he got hit by the chase, but that's on him for understeering. And then on the reverse of this, it's the same thing. Daniel also gets hit by the chase, but it's because of a lead error. So you've got one lead error that leads to Allen going one tire off at clip 1, one lead error where Daniel goes wide of clip 3 and then goes off up onto the rumble strip at clip 4. So you've got lead error to lead error, really good chases. But for us, we would much rather be able to say one more time and see a clear win to decide it fairly on the track, rather than it being us making some overly picky call.
Well, man, I am so glad you're a judge, and I appreciate you coming in here and explaining it. I see a bunch of people in chat agreeing with the decision, so hell yeah, let's see a clean run. Let's see how they'll rip it around this track and make a clear, decisive winner for you guys.
Exactly.
All right,
Send
Chris.
him again.
Let's go. Send him again. Allen Hynes versus Daniel Andreev. Daniel Andreev is in the chase. Allen Hynes in the lead. Hearing in the chat, Craig is looking mighty handsome. Of course, as always, Allen Hynes coming out here with that S15. And then with that nice initiation to fill out that first outer zone, being able to huck that angle a lot better than the first lap that he did, but a little bit shallow on outer zone 2. Here comes Daniel Andreev to keep that proximity all the way through into the final outer zone. A little bit of a bobble from Alan Hynes, but able to hold it together as Daniel Andreev is keeping that proximity through.
Yeah, nicely done, but there is a point that we should take a look at here on the replay. Alan initiates in, leading through the course, but we see him pull quite the angle out there, moving into that first transition, falling a little bit shallow of outside zone 2 as well. He did pick up the inside clip, grabs these next set of outside zones, does really nice coming into the last and final one as well, with Daniel applying some pressure, crossing that finish line.
Oh, mercy. Here we go. Second lap of our one more time battle. Winner moves on to get first place on the podium. Loser gets second place. Daniel Andreev. Alan Hynes. Here we go. Daniel Andreev coming in with a nice run up, nice initiation, locked into angle. Here's Alan Hynes, keeping that proximity as much as possible, giving him some room for that transition. Daniel Andreev is just filling out each zone. Beautiful transition from both drivers. Alan Hynes is being super aggressive. And here's Daniel Andreev hucking it into the final outer zone. Alan Hynes a little bit forward in the pocket, able to reel himself back and keep it doors.
Yeah, Daniel Andreev doing a good job. I think doing everything he needs to in that lead position to possibly seal the deal. Nice initiation, filling outside zone 1. Great transition across, filling that next zone, grabbing the inside clip. Alan applying all the pressure that he can, bumper to bumper through that transition, a little bit back on that one, but then dives back in, does sacrifice a little bit of line, locked in to the angle though. There they go, crossing that finish line. But again, I think it's going to come down to that little bit of straightening from Alan Hynes leaving outside zone 1 and taking off like a rocket ship.
Rockets. I think rocket ships are cool. I'm able to watch them from my backyard. The Red Bull's talking right now. Sorry, guys. Alan Hynes did an awesome job throughout this whole competition. Super aggressive. We have Daniel Andreev. This is the second or third time he's been in the podium. I want to say second because the last one I remember was Mondello. But he's just absolutely aggressive when he needs to be. Alan Hynes, I love seeing how he performs. He's very surgical when he performs, but whenever it's a little mistake, that's where you could actually see his mishaps.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit too much grip possibly dialed into the rear of that car of Alan Hynes. We have a decision.
Alan Hynes to the left, Daniel Andreev to the right. Who's getting first place? Daniel Andreev gets the win in his first place of this round of Virtual Drift Masters. Alan Hynes gets second place, and Sullivan is third place. These three drivers, absolutely insane. And I just see in chat, donut time. I love it.
Yeah, nicely done by really every single one of these drivers today in the top 32. Every single one of them put on a show. I certainly enjoyed it. I hope all of you watching at home enjoyed it as well. And some deserving podiums today. Daniel getting the win.
Yeah, we have this bracket, how everything culminated into our podium positions. This was a roller coaster of emotions throughout the whole top 32. From seeing Daniel Andreev from the top 32 battle he had all the way to the finals battle, it's absolutely spectacular to see these guys just develop throughout the competition. Now we see Daniel Andreev, he gets 100 points for winning first place. Alan Hynes gets 80 points. Sullivan gets 64 points. This just shook up the whole season standings. We're gonna see.
I think so. Yeah, they should pull those up next. I believe
they're gonna be pulling up the season standings coming up shortly, man. But we have round 4 of LATVIA. coming up, the actual Drift Masters, the real world event. Check them out. Go purchase your tickets at dm.gp. Check out your drivers that were in the sim that competed here, that are actually Drift Masters drivers, and say, what's up? I watched your last round and I enjoyed watching the competition.
Yeah, all going down on my birthday too. I should have went out there.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, this has been an insane round. Craig, love to have you back, and I'm excited for the next couple of rounds we're gonna have back. What are your favorite things about today? And we're gonna say goodbye to everybody after that.
Yeah, the precision from every single one of these drivers, especially in that lead position. I mean, of course, the judges put that emphasis on those drivers, but it's just so much practice that they get to do just over and over and over, dial in those setups, dial in their runs, and just put on a show each and every single time, all the way through the top 32. It didn't need a finals to get us hyped today.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was the end of the round of VDM. I will see you guys in the next round. I hope you guys are having a great time. The next round, which is in August 9th and 11th, or 9th to the 11th, we're going to be in Hungary. The virtual Drift Masters is going to be in the Hungary track. We're mirroring everything there. It's going to be awesome. And then the final round will be in September as well. But I want to thank G2A, MetaPro, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great weekend and enjoy Drift Masters.